Hello, my Teaserking family. Back for economics. So we did our football one. We do have day one of college football today. I'm not playing any of the games today. I don't like them. Well, there's only two. There's Minnesota and North Carolina, and there's Jacksonville State and Coastal Carolina. I have no interest. The first one, there's two new quarterbacks. You don't know what you're getting. And why take undue risk when you can bet better games tomorrow and Saturday that will pay the same amount? So there's no rhyme or reason. Why play a game with high risk when you can play a game with less risk and you get the same output. So if I bet 110, I win 100, no matter if I play the North Carolina Minnesota game or if I play the Georgia Clemson game or if I play Ohio State. It's the same. You're not getting, you're taking more risk, but it's the same return. So take less risk. All right. So again, www.teaserking.com. You can go sign up for the class or buy the picks, your choice. We will see. I don't have a lock this week. Somebody has bought the locks, and I simply gave him my best play this week, and he'll get the locks next week. Gold, 25.21. Again, we had our 8 o'clock knock for some reason instead of the 10 o'clock. This is Europe, probably London, doing an 8 o'clock drop from 25.21 to 25.05. It goes down 16 and immediately shot back to 25.20 and went up to 25.28 and 25.21. So we're in this 25.10 to 25.20, 25.30 the whole week. Hey, Pat. So the whole week's been I think everybody's shocked we're at 2,500. Except for us, of course. So that's where we're at with it. Silver 29.42. Again, silver's just buy, and wait. Don't have the expectation it's the stock. Don't have any expectation. You're not buying it to go up in value, but you are. Let me give you an example. Well, yeah, it's a very tight range, but I think tomorrow it'll get to 25.50 would be my bet. We got Labor Day holiday on Monday here in America, so I would assume 2,600 next week. Well, that's why. So that's my point. I went on a diet. Not really. I had high blood pressure a couple years ago, about 3 years ago. I was getting heavy, high blood pressure, and I go to the doctor for something. Oh, you got diabetes. Oh, well, how do I get rid of it? Oh, you can't. I can't. That's a challenge to the professor. There is no I can'ts in my world. So I just laugh at the doctor and leave. And what is diabetes? It's high blood sugar. Okay. So I go to YouTube and I find a doctor, and he explains, well, you're eating too much sugar and carbs, right? Cut your carbs out, your donuts, your cereal, the high fructose corn syrup, cut that out. That's not good for you. Okay, so then and I started eating more meats and chicken, more veggies and fruit. Take all the ketchup and barbecue sauce, that's high fructose corn syrup, and get rid of it. The sugar is causing my high blood pressure and my diabetes. Okay. Now, I'm not trying to diet. I'm trying to get well. I'm trying to get my blood pressure down. In doing so, I lost a ton of weight, went from 44 waist to 36 waist without trying. I didn't try to diet. I only tried to eat healthy. Right? Okay, no more yogurts, no more sugar. We got to get the blood pressure down. We got to get the diabetes down. So by doing that, I lost a ton of weight and got healthy. My blood pressure's 120 over 87 about a month ago. So by the analogy here is buying silver mostly because you want to get out of the dollar, because this is worthless. This is absolutely, will buy a stick of gum, a gumball. This is not worth anything. This is paper that's worthless. We call it inflation. You've killed the value of the dollar. It has no more value. So we buy gold and silver. And in buying the silver and the gold, we're not intending to get rich. We're intending to get healthy, to get out of the dollar, to get out of the euro or the yen, the yuan, pick a country. But mostly the euro, the Canadian dollar, the US dollar, and the British pound. But by getting out, we buy the silver. It's like me getting healthy. And the kickback is that the gold and silver prices will go through the roof because that's everybody getting out of the dollar. Now, you're not intending to make money on the gold and silver. The intention is to get out of the dollar. That's the whole intent. I was trying to get my blood pressure down, so I ate healthy. I didn't know I'd lose weight. I was just, how do I get my blood pressure and my blood sugars down? So I go and do that, and I get everything down. And the same thing we're doing here. We're really getting out of the dollar because we know it has no value. That's the focus of it. That's it. That's all we're trying to do. And then we make a ton on gold and silver because that's the side effect of getting out of the dollar, where you don't lose money, but you gain money. Excellent analogy with getting healthy. The dollar is the cheap sugar. Thank you, Pat. Yeah, I'm good at analogies. I'm good. That's why I came up with the Titanic. The Titanic is really something that people can easily visualize because you see the movie. It's a popular thing. And you can easily see, the boat hit the iceberg. The water came in, the boat sank, and you need the lifeboat. And you can relate it to the dollar and gold very easily. So I try to do things where I get a good example to get people to understand it. So, yeah, thank you. That's what I try to do. So you need to do Titanic on your friends who think that you've lost your mind and explain to them. So I think I showed gold. I know I'm getting tired. Gold 25.21, silver 29.42. And again, an 8 o'clock, not a 10 o'clock drop. I don't know if the U.S. is out because the U.S. comes on board at 10 o'clock. They didn't do any derivatives today. I wonder if they're gone. I haven't seen them do a 10 o'clock big drop all week. I think one day, $8 or $9 was it. I think they realize that they're getting crushed. They realize they shouldn't be doing these drops because they're losing their ass on them. So let's go to I was watching this thing from John Stossel. Rich get richer, poor get richer. Capitalism myth number one. So there's a lot of people that don't understand it. They want socialism because they want the handout. That's why it's so popular here. Getting popular is they only see the handout part of it. They don't see that the country blows up and the economy fails and then they get nothing. They don't see that. You need capitalism to get competition mostly. Somebody makes a phone, somebody else makes a phone. Somebody makes a laptop, somebody else makes a laptop. You can choose, and then they price, and the price goes down, the quality goes up. As clear and plain as the day is, that's capitalism. We go to work, there's competition for our skill set. Do I want to work at AB? Do I want to work at GM, Mercedes, or Ford? Well, who pays the most? What's the environment like? They're bidding for my services. Okay. And I get paid for my skill set, which is a master's in economics and finance and economics. I picked up a lot of computer skills and I'm very analytical. So you don't get just an idiot reading financials, not understanding or explaining, can't communicate them. You get what you want with me. And that's really the big deal in it, is understanding that point of they're bidding. You get paid what the market will bear. I had an interview the other day. I told you on Tenneco. She says, well, what do you want to make? So she was interested. She says, well, what's your salary? I says, all I can say is what the market paid me. Mercedes and Harley gave me between 100 and 115. So that's all I can say. And you're automotive and Tenneco, so somewhere in that neighborhood. And they always give you, well, that's a little bit high, but maybe we can, get you. At the end of the day, they're looking to pay as little as possible to get the same skill set from me as they can get from somebody else. If they can't find it, they'll take me and pay me a little bit more. But we can negotiate. I would go a little bit lower to get the job. I'd rather have the job so I can buy more gold than not have the job. And that's basically it. That's what capitalism offers you, substitute goods. It allows you to do what you want. You want to be in finance. You want to be a football player. You want to be a tennis player. You want to be a musician. Whatever it is you want to be, you can get paid for it. People will pay you just to be an actor, to be whatever. There's ways. Oh, you're an actor. We'll make a movie, and we sell a bunch of tickets. We make a lot of money on the movie. And anything really, doctors, lawyers, finance, whatever it is. The problem is people running it are fucking up the money. That's what can't be fucked up. So let's go to John Stossel. This is a few years ago, but it doesn't matter. It still plays. 3 years ago. And here's the capitalism myth. This is about 6 minutes. I'll just let it run. I might interrupt if I have a point to make on it. But this is like people saying shit, and then he's like, no, that's not right. So let's go.
If you've been getting scam texts like these, it means your data was probably leaked online somewhere. Now, most of you can probably...
Everywhere, people trash capitalism. No system has redistributed wealth from the poor to the rich as effectively as our own.
I call it slavery by another name.
But what they think they know about capitalism is often wrong. In this video and the next, we'll bust 7 myths about capitalism.
No one ever makes $1 billion. You take $1 billion.
That's myth 1. Capitalists get rich by taking money from others.
Jeff Bezos has what, $100 billion? Yeah, his wealth is making a lot of people poor.
People assume that because they think
we have a finite amount of money.
A finite amount. So when they win, you lose. But that's not true, because entrepreneurs create new wealth. Research shows that when they got rich,
they only kept 2.2% of the additional wealth they generated for the economy.
Economist Dan Mitchell.
In other words, the rest of us captured almost 98% of the benefits.
Today, Apple is going to reinvent the phone.
Yes, Steve Jobs kept billions. But by creating Apple, he gave us more. So many new jobs. And he added billions to our economy. All by creating tech that makes our lives better.
I hope that we get 100 new super billionaires, because that means that there's 100 new people who have figured out ways to make the rest of our lives better off.
Let's abolish billionaires.
This former labor secretary says
entrepreneurs like Jeff Bezos would be just as motivated by, say, $100 million or even $50 million.
Ooh. But he misses the most important fact about capitalism.
I'm not giving Jeff Bezos any money unless he's selling me something that I value more than that money.
Billionaires.
No one deserves to have that much money.
None of these zillionaires needs that much money.
If you put a cap on how much money someone can make, are they going to continue innovating? No. Maybe you just decide to take it easy. You retire. You sell a yacht around the world. You're going to start consuming instead of saving and producing.
When I say things like that, people call me a complete moron and tweet more money in the richest hands means money sitting in the bank doing nothing. But that's an ignorant view of banks. In reality,
that money gets lent out,
which allows other people to build businesses, buy homes, get educated.
New machinery, tools, factories, equipment, technology.
Still, we hear
the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer.
That's myth too. The truth is that the poor and middle class are getting richer too.
The economic pie grows. We are much richer than our grandparents, and our grandparents were much richer than their grandparents.
For thousands of years, the world had almost no wealth creation. Then some countries tried capitalism.
You can see that per capita GDP is climbing and climbing and climbing.
Capitalists helped everyone, including the poor.
They do by bringing cheaper and better food to my supermarket. They do it by providing better goods and services.
So high tech, it could only come from Motorola.
Look how communications changed. 25 years ago, phones looked like this. Then we got the BlackBerry, the iPhone.
Way smarter than any mobile device has ever been.
Now we have cheap smartphones. When the media say
the middle class is in decline,
America's middle class is in decline,
well, they're right.
But they miss why.
It's shrinking because more and more people are moving into those upper income quintiles. The rich get richer in a capitalist society, but guess what? The rest of us get richer as well.
The average family today is almost a third richer than 40 years ago because capitalists compete to get our dollars. Of course, this assumes there's competition. But I'm told that's no longer true. In fact, I'm a miserable, selfish pig for not saying that monopolies destroyed the free market. Some Republicans and Democrats say that's why tech companies must be broken up.
calling Facebook, Amazon, and Apple all monopolies.
But are they really monopolies?
We do have monopolies. The government school system, the postal service. Monopolies are almost always a creation of government intervention.
Blocking competition, for example.
Keeping your phone system the best in the world.
Government granted Ma Bell a monopoly on phone calls. And in 30 years, their phones went from this to, well, just this.
Always improving. That's the Bell system for you.
A short phone call costs $17. Ma Bell got away with that because government banned competition.
In a free market economy, it's impossible to have a monopoly because if somebody manages to get a lot of market share and they try to raise prices, new competitors are going to spring up and they're going to draw away the customers.
That happened to Blockbuster. It charged late fees. Netflix promised no late fees. Blockbuster soon went out of business. But people say today's tech companies are uniquely powerful. No one can compete with them.
I use DuckDuckGo as my search engine. I don't use Google. But guess what? Even if I used Google and Facebook for 10 hours a day, no one's holding a gun to my head. They're obviously providing something of value. Heck, they're providing free search engines, social media.
Just 14 years ago, people called MySpace a monopoly. Then Facebook proved them wrong. Our government once called U.S. Steel, Pan Am, IBM, Internet Explorer, and Kodak monopolies. That's something to consider next time you hear
Big tech are the robber barons of the 21st century.
robber barons like Rockefeller and Vanderbilt. But what we think about them is mostly a myth too. In my next video, 4 other myths about capitalism.
See, so people say stupid stuff and nobody challenges it. And this is the problem with it. So you sit there, you sit there and you just agree with it because nobody understands it. And this is why I tell you monopolies are the worst. That's why it's so good about Austrian economics. It's competition. Competition benefits us because we have choices. I don't like green, I take blue. I don't want, a chocolate cake, I want a vanilla cake. Or, I don't want to go to Dairy Queen, I'll go to, some other ice cream place, or different pizza places, different tasting pizzas, different prices, chicken, whatever. You go to the grocery store, there's 2 or 3 different choices of chicken breasts you can get and cook at home, or you can go to KFC or Churches or any of these and get the chicken there. I go to Chinese. I go a half-hour drive because it's better than the ones here. And then I said about the trading. So this is what you're trading. Everything you want is free trade. There's a little tax with ours, but this is the problem. We're trading. This is what keeps capitalism going. We're also trading. How much is your chicken? $5. Okay. You go to another restaurant, it's $10. Any different? No, not really. Well, then why should I pay $10 for this chicken when I can pay $5 for the chicken? Why do I go to the barbecue restaurant I go to? Because it's $14 for barbecue chicken I get baked potato or those cottage fries, and I get coleslaw, or I can get for another $1.50 a salad. And it's a nice half of barbecue chicken. I tried another barbecue place a few miles away, and they were like $20. Well, I know I like the taste of mine, and the price is much cheaper. So it's better and cheaper. So I'm going to vote with my dollar, and I'm going to go to my place. Plus, we talk gold and silver, which doesn't hurt. So this is what's beautiful about capitalism, about Austrian economy. It's all competition. And to compete, so I'm competing with other Australian economists, let's say Austrian economists, or football. Let's go to football. I compete with the other handicappers. I'm better than they are. So you pay. I don't know what their prices are. I don't look at their prices. I don't care. Mine's very affordable for what I'm going to make you because of my skill in picking the football games. So you can come to me or go to somebody else, but you end up coming back to me because you go, he gives me a lot of games and he makes me a lot of money. And that's the key. That's why I show my history on my football picks. This is who I bet. Oh, look, it won. And that's the whole point of it. But it's like that anything. These little plates again. So I'm in Switzerland and we go to the gift shop and I like this. It's a pretty plate. It was like $5-6, €5-6, and I buy it. Now, if there's other play, I could have chose some other thing, but I like the play. I like the color. But again, if it was $20, I would probably go to another gift shop. And, it's only 5 or 10 here. So you're always comparing prices in a competitive economy. You compare. So, like he said, if somebody marks the price up, the competition will come in. So if my cost is $5 and I can sell something for 20 and it's going for 30, I can come in and undercut them for $20 because it's only going to cost me 5 and I can see people are paying 30. So I bring in competition. And then you go, yeah, I'll take his. His is virtually the same, or maybe a little tiny difference. But it's $10 cheaper. And we vote with our wallet because we only have a limited amount of this. And therefore, I can't afford this or I can't afford that. When I help the girls, I'm giving enough, I'm giving them a little, enough so they can eat and, do their things, but I'm not giving them too much. I mean, that I wouldn't do. So I got to do what I can afford, right? So everything comes down to your budget. What can you afford? And that's why you buy a house. This is based on what you can afford. And your car, could you buy a Mercedes for $90,000 or a Toyota Fourth, 25 grand. So I chose the Toyota. Could I afford the Mercedes? Yeah, but it didn't make sense. It's a car. I don't need the image. I just need the car. So I don't pay more for it. Maybe after the gold goes to the moon, then maybe I get a Mercedes, but we'll see. Hey, Luke. Well, I mean, we're 25, 21 gold. Silver's still 24 and change. But as I was showing earlier, there was no 10 o'clock drop on the U.S. in the derivatives on gold. They didn't drop it. It was an 8 o'clock drop by Europe, and then at 10 o'clock, it just kept going up. It went from 25.04 back to 25.29. It's sitting at 25.21. I don't think we're going to see any 24 anything really low 24s, maybe a 24.75 or 80. But I think the U.S. might be done. I mean, this whole week, the biggest drop at 10 o'clock was like $10 on Tuesday, I think, or Wednesday. I mean, it has not dropped. So I think they're rolling into Bitcoin and off they go. I think we're almost done with the U.S. doing the derivatives in gold. London's doing it for some reason at 8 o'clock in the morning. I've been noticing 8 o'clock. They've been dumping it. Some days it just goes zoom, and then some days go zoom, and then Europe and the U.S. come in, but then you'll get China going up and Europe going up, and it doesn't fall. So I'm hoping we got Labor Day Monday, so the U.S. can't do the derivative Monday. So my thing is tomorrow we should have a big day, and Monday we should have a huge day because Asia will do their push, Europe will do their push, and there's no U.S. to drop it down. So I think we get near 26 by Monday. The villain is out. So I just did a video on capitalism. Very good. John Stossel, he's a conservative. Watch that. It was very good. There was a video, Douglas McGregor on Russia, Ukraine. It's entitled Ukraine's Front Collapses. Zelensky has, I can't read it, it's with the clock there, but so basically Russia's winning. And again, we're getting, now China, I don't know, they're collapsing, but they got all this gold, so they can't collapse because of the gold. And but that's a lesson to show you that the dollar does collapse. When you don't back it by anything and you print it to death, it's going to collapse. People are trying to say, well, China's now got the reserve currency because there's more trading with Russia because Russia's with the sanctions. And therefore, there's more trade going on with China's yuan than with the U.S. That's totally irrelevant. Both currencies are worthless. It'll end up with the BRICS will be the dominant because it's gold back and you can't fuck with it, which is really the whole point of the story. Luke, housing market looks like the same bubble as back in 08. It's far worse. Maybe a reset happens over this long weekend. Well, it's going to happen in October, especially around the 22nd for sure. Will it happen now? Well, the stock market, I looked at the stock market and it's like 41,300. It was like up to 300 again. Now I hear the NVIDIA and the AI stocks are getting crushed. They're starting to admit that we're actually in a depression, which I've told you for 3 years, we've been in a recession. Powell's trying to, I averted the depression. No, you haven't. There's everybody, all these tech companies are laying off thousands of people, but shh, don't tell anybody. We got an election to win. Don't tell anybody. The funny part of the election is you watch these commercials with Harris, and she says, "Oh, I'm gonna close the border, and I'm gonna, cut the high prices and everything else." And you're like, "But you're the one who caused it. You've been there for 4 years. You're the one who left the border open. You're the one who led to the inflation. Now you want me to believe if I elect you, you're going to reverse it. Well, why did you let it happen in the first place? You're in charge. You're the vice president. So if you didn't do anything before, I'm supposed to believe you're going to do something now? I mean, that's just absurd. What a pile of garbage this whole election is. All these ads to vote for somebody where they all just lie about it. I mean, I don't watch them. When I see her, I just mute them. I can't listen to her. She's such a liar. And she's a communist. And as we just listened on capitalism, that it's not like the rich get rich and the poor get poor. Everybody benefits from a iPhone, from a laptop being invented, from the cell phone being. Somebody makes a lot of money, but we all benefit, right? Amazon comes out and says, well, here's all these prices cheaper and we'll deliver to your house. Well, you don't have to choose Amazon. I still go to the store, but if you use it, it's a benefit. So he makes money, but he gives you a benefit. He doesn't just make money, and there's not a finite amount of money. It's infinite. And when we go to gold, you just raise the gold price, you print more money. But as you come up with these new items, like Luke with tennis rackets, they make money, his company, but it's not like they take money from somebody else. If you want a tennis racket and a good one, you buy it from Luke and off you go. It's not like anybody loses. You have money. You have so much money from your job, and you sit there and you make decisions. Do I want barbecue ribs tonight? Do I want Chinese food tonight? So you're bidding, and then you look at what restaurant do I want to go to? Well, they're too expensive. I'll buy it. I'll go to this one. I mean, and that's basically what you're doing, is determining with your dollar what, well, the New York strip, $17, the T-bone or the porterhouse, let's say, is $10. That's what I just bought. So I'm gonna vote with this because this is limited to me. I can't just print it. So I got to do that. What we've figured out is it's worthless. The idiots in charge, JP Morgan, printed it too much. They printed too much of them. It's a flood on the market, and anytime that happens, they lose their value. So that's where we get into, we need to buy gold and silver. And as I said earlier with Pat, my health wasn't good, and all I was trying to do was get healthy. But by doing it, I lost a lot of weight. And that's why we buy gold and silver. We're trying to get out of the dollar. But because we're trying to get out of the dollar, that enforces us to, we, by the way, make money because gold and silver goes up. But our intention is to get out of the dollar, not to make money on gold and silver, but it just happens, right? Because it's the only, we've found a monopoly. We've stumbled onto a monopoly, gold and silver. And as any monopoly, we'll make a ton of money on it because there's no competition. There's no other place to go. Dollar cannot compete with gold. Nothing can compete with gold. Forget Bitcoin competing with gold. Forget a Picasso. Forget a Rolex. Doesn't compete with gold. And that's what you have to understand. So you're buying into a monopoly instead of on the other end. And that's really what the whole point is I got healthy because I cut out sugars and carbs, and we're getting healthy, getting out of the dollars. And that's why I say to your friend, Luke, he's got 4 million monopoly dollars. And I disagree with you on when gold's 15,000, he'll be able to find any. And the question I'm dying for you to ask him, and I want his answer, is what does he do when his 401k goes down to 2 million? At what point does he sell his to survive? His 4 million will go to 3 million. At what point does the light come on saying, I better sell it and get into gold, or what do I do? And my bet is he won't sell it. He'll watch it go all the way down to 10,000 and lose everything, as will all the Bitcoiners. They'll watch Bitcoin go down and down and down, and it'll come back. I gave that story the other day with my friend, and it wasn't my friend, some idiot at Toyota in Alabama. And we're talking, and I know what's going to happen, right? I can see it. And I said, well, you better get out of the stocks before they collapse, because everybody had their 401k but me. I'm in gold. And so I say, you better sell your stocks, at least keep it in cash for a while. He says, well, Howard, I'm younger than you, and the market will drop, but it'll come back up. And why will it come back up? It didn't come back up in Japan, and we're no better off than Japan was. It's taken Japan 30 years, and their market never came back because they have huge inflation. And so he gave me that answer. Well, I got time for it to come back. Well, why do you want to come back? Why do you want to lose 80% of your 401k for it to come back to 80%? Wouldn't you rather be out of it? And then when it hit bottom and then you start buying back in, then you make 80%? Wouldn't that make sense? I was way over the guy's head. It's just, that's why they didn't like me there, because I was I had a brain, and I was from the north, and they were all Southern boys, and I was so far over their heads, they had no idea. Luke, when the housing bubble gonna break? Same time as everything else? I think in October, November. Yeah. Again, it's going to be the foreigners pulling their money out, and there's just not going to be any buyers. And then you got these high interest rates. Again, what Powell does with interest rates has no bearing on the housing or car markets. He's lending money to the banks. That's what the Fed does. It does not get involved in the free market of houses and cars. It has nothing to do with it. So if he lowers his rate a point, the house and the car probably go up because he's creating more inflation. Although he really isn't. It's such a stupid thing because it's, they're looking at inflation as prices, which it so misses the point. It's not prices. It's printing the fucking money to nothing. Once you print the money to nothing, there's no way back, and interest rates don't help you. Only way to save the country is gold. But they won't admit they're wrong. He's so cocky that I'll say he'll double down. Not so cocky, but prideful. Well, let's call him stupid. But ask him that question. Tell him the professor wants to know, at what point will you sell your portfolio or your 401k? At what point, how far down does it have to go before you realize you're fucked? And by that time, there won't be gold to buy. He needs to buy the gold now, because come October, and not even that, probably the end of September, it's going to fly. And I'll be lucky if there's an ounce or two at my store. I'll check it in periodically. I might go tomorrow and buy a quarter ounce. I got some football sales in. I was all excited. I was like, doesn't anybody going to buy my football? And I got 2 buyers yesterday. I was so excited. So I can go off and I can afford another quarter ounce. So I'm all excited. But there's a point where, there's not going to be the seller. The sellers are all going to be fucked over, right? They all think 2,400 is the all-time high. And then 2,500 is the all-time high. And they run and dump and run and dump. And the owner looks at me, he says, what is wrong with these people? I said, they don't know. They have no idea that the gold price is about to go to the moon. They think 2,500 that's it. Everybody thinks, well, that's it. It won't go any higher. These are idiots we're talking about, right? And it's not that they're idiots. They just don't know, but they don't want to ask. They don't want to learn. They don't want to know that they've been fucked over. It's like this one coin that I was talking about with the crypto queen yesterday. So I'm watching her. She's on Tubi. And she basically just scammed everybody into believing it'll keep going up and up and up, and you're all going to be millionaires. I talked about this yesterday, but I can review it. So everybody's going to be a millionaire, so everybody buys in. problem was you couldn't get your money out. So the value of your one coin is worth, $50,000, but you can't get it out. You can't take the money because it wasn't set up. It was all a Ponzi scheme. There was no blockchain. There was no coins. There was no value. She was making it up. But nobody wanted to admit they were wrong. She comes out and says it's all a Ponzi scheme, and still the buyers, the people who have bought, are still believing it's real. They won't admit that they fucked up, that they didn't know what they're doing, that they wanted to get rich. And then you have the few people crying, "Oh, it was my mom's life savings, and now how do we live?" Dude, you're fucking idiots if you thought that was going to happen with this when you didn't even understand. Well, so if I put my money in, I can take it out. At least what you tell me, Luke, in Bitcoin, you can get your money out. But we don't know how the price goes up and down in Bitcoin. And with Larry Fink on his ETF, it's going to see a lot more downs than ups. It was down like 2,000 yesterday. Why? Don't know. But if you buy it now, so I know, Luke, you got in early and you got lucky because now it's up and you got out. But if you got in now at 65,000 or 70,000 or 60,000, for you to make that same money, it's got to go to 120,000. Oh, it ain't never going to happen. And even if it does, it's going to be dollars. Good luck getting those. If the dollar goes out, you'll have no value. So you played it perfectly. You got extremely lucky. You got in early, and it happened to go up. But it was all bullshit. So you got out of, put it this way, you got out of the Madoff Ponzi scheme, where everybody stayed in the Madoff Ponzi scheme and for years and made their 15%. Was it a year? They got their little monthly deposits of money that got paid by these other people in Europe, paid you. What you did was you're in Madoff, getting all this money, but you were smart enough to get out of Madoff, and that's what you did. That's why I asked your friend with the 4 million, what is your getting out point? He's in a Ponzi scheme. He doesn't realize he's in a Ponzi scheme. They're just pumping money into the stock market so you'll vote for Harris because look how good the economy is. They think that looking at the stocks makes the economy good. And my answer is, how about the housing bubble, the stocks in a bubble? Wait till the stock market, goes down to 20,000. Well, that's Trump's fault. No, it's not Trump's fault. This is the point. This is all economics. If it's not being held by the market. So in other words, I go to my barbecue place because he's $14 for the barbecue chicken with the cottage fries and the coleslaw or the salad. And I get a thing of, the garlic bread, which I hate all the carbs there. And then, and that's it. Or I can go to the other barbecue place that's $25 for the same meal. So I go for $10 cheaper and it's better. I asked the waiter there, I went to look at the menu and the waiter goes, "Yeah, but this is quality meat." And I'm like, "Yeah, sure it is. I'm eating the same quality meat at my guys for $10 cheaper." So I go there. We always vote with our dollars because we have limited amount. So when our gold goes through the roof, maybe we go vacation instead of Barcelona. We go to, the south of France instead. Because then money is not the issue because we'll have so much that it won't, and prices will come way down. $1,000 flight now, if I wanted to go to Greece, let's say, or I wanted to meet Jenna in Berlin, I could have got the flight for, I think it was like $800, $900. And which is in inflated dollars. So soon, the gold-backed currency, I'll probably be able to fly to Europe for $100 gold dollars. That'll be it. So just keep jumping on the gold, jump and buy as much as you can. Put it on your credit cards, mortgage it on your car. I mean, it doesn't matter because the gold will highly outpace your credit card. I got a lot of my credit cards gold, and I just looked at it like, I was like paying 1700 for the gold. And I said, well, yeah, but the credit card goes up, then I can sell the gold for $5,000 and that'll pay the credit card off. So it's a good investment as far as I saw it. But this is why you must have the competition is the critical part about capitalism. And it's not some people win and some people lose. Nobody loses. You buy things because you want them, right? I want the Canadian club, so I pay for it. I'm not taking money away from anybody else. And the guy at Canadian Club gets rich because he makes a product that I want to buy. Or in your tennis rackets, let's use your tennis racket. The guy selling the tennis rackets, he makes money. Nobody loses. He becomes a billionaire. Nobody loses. They're not taking, this is their thing is there's a limited amount of money or it's a static amount of money. That's not true. So we go to work, we make our money, and I want to buy tennis rackets. We all buy your tennis rackets. The owner gets billions, but he didn't steal it from anybody. He got it because we liked the product and we all bought it. And all the sales went. You liked it because you get a lot of commission, so you make money. Who loses on this? The people that buy the tennis racket gets the racket. You just chose to put your dollars into a tennis racket and yours versus a golf club or versus a baseball bat or whatever other thing you would have into a pizza, whatever it is. So that's all you're doing. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the beauty of capitalism. You can sell what you want. You have to compete with the other tennis companies. That's it. And they compete for your skill set and pay you versus other tennis companies for your services. And you go to work for the one that gives you the most amount of money. The one that pays for your skill set more is what it is. I always look for that. That's why I have a lot of jobs on my resume. If I'm making $40 an hour and somebody wants to pay me $45, goodbye. They're going to pay me more for my skill set than you're paying. Now you can match them, but I'm only thinking of the money. I'm a business. I can get a raise for doing the same work at a different company. The only thing is the bosses, if they're, okay. But otherwise, that's the goal. Sometimes I get burned. I get a really bad boss. But then you get your Mercedes, which was great working conditions. So it's all competition. It's all free market. And that's the beauty of it. So, but the socialists want to come in and take what we make. Let's tax them a little higher because you made money. Well, yeah, but it's because I am a good worker. I have a good skill. I got my master's in finance, so I'm able to get good jobs. Why am I being penalized for being, smart and working hard? Same thing here. Same thing with my football. If I make money on football, it's because people want my picks because it's going to make them money. And I got the proof. I show you the history on the site. This is what I did last year. Here's the games. I show you the Super Bowl and the championship games. Winner, winner, winner. Bet Mahomes. I'm smart enough to figure that shit out, but I get rewarded for it. So if I were to make $1 billion on my football, which I kind of don't understand why I don't get more buyers, I'm not taking it from anybody. People are willingly paying for my picks. That's it. Luke, I think we're in early for Golden. Oh, absolutely. I've been in it for 3 years, Luke. I am always 5 steps ahead. I saw it coming as soon as Biden took office and started these $2 trillion spendings. I immediately got into gold. I bought a little in 95 when I graduated. I had 1.5 ounces, 2 ounces. We got into the baseball cards because my ex-wife, bought me for a birthday a box of hockey cards. And so I wanted to complete the set because that's how I think. And we found a card show, and I'll put it bluntly, it's like going to Amsterdam in the red light district going, look at all these girls in their underwear. And that's what it was like. It was like, look at all these cards. I could buy old cards and new cards. And so we got into the cards instead of the gold and silver. But I did okay with them because of my choices of mint condition mantle cards and Bobby Orr and Montana and Rice. So being that they're mint, I did okay with it in the short run. Soon the gold will surpass it, but I still should get a nice, the mantle card should still sell in gold. So I'll still be that's what I would like to do is trade it for gold. I'll give me 2 ounces of gold for the mantle card. Fine. Be off and running. We're definitely in early. No commission anymore on my sales. Total BS, 11 years of that. Now just changed to salary plus bonus. I'm out roughly 20K a year under the new structure. That's cutting. That's because of competition. That's you can thank your inflation. The money's worth less. So you're getting fucked 2 ways. You're getting less, but the money you get is less. Like the Bobby story, right? So Bobby gets $1 million a year for what, 30 years, 35 years. The $1 million, let's say he started in 2000 to 2030. Let's say for that. I don't know. I remember him getting a big so much a year. It was the dumbest advice you could ever get. But so at first the million's good. At 2000 and 2001, it's worth 995,000. 10 years later, his million's worth about 750,000. 10 years later, his million's worth about 300,000. Now his million's worth maybe, 50,000. Even though he's getting $1 million, it's not $1 million. He's only getting about 50,000 a year. And I told him, and he said he asked the Mets for gold, and they laughed at him. And I said I'd fire my attorney or whoever made that deal. Fuck you royally, because I would have taken the lump sum because the money today, and I would have bought gold with it at that point, and he'd never work again. Well, I don't think he'd have to work again anyway, but now he can't get the gold. The money he's getting is worthless. What does he do when the dollar goes out? What are they going to pay him? And they still owe him. So the point is that as the money gets older and printed more, it becomes worth less. And as I've shown you, it's basically 99% gone. I call it 100% gone. So now your salary, while it might be the same, it's really cheap. It's not worth as much because it won't go, and the value of it is less. So you're actually getting a pay cut on the inflation, as well as losing your commission. So now you get the bonus, which is probably cut. So what you're getting paid is probably half of the salary you made 10 years ago or 11 years ago. So if you made 100 grand 11 years ago and you kept the 100 grand, you make about 40,000 now. Only you don't realize it because you still see the 100 grand. And this is the hard part about the Titanic, right? On the Titanic, you see the boat, you're on the boat, it hits the iceberg, you can see it. The water's coming in, you can see it. You can see the boat sinking. You see the lifeboat, you get on the lifeboat. You can see it all. This is blind to everybody except for us. You don't see this being worth 10 cents. You still think it's worth $5, but it's worth 5 cents. But you don't see that. You see prices going up, but you don't, you don't understand why. You see, this is the point. You go to work, you're not, they ask me what I want. I want 100 grand. Really, I should ask for about 150 grand because of inflation. My 100 grand is going to be like 10 grand. I mean, when it's all said and done, it's worth what? 1 cent a dollar. So I'm getting paid 10 grand for my 100 grand. But my expenses are still in dollars. So my rent is actually very cheap considering, but it's still $1,500 a month. But in dollars, it's like $15 for rent, but nobody can see that. So this is the biggest problem that everybody sees, including your buddy Kirk, does not see that he's on that Titanic. He doesn't see the water coming in. He doesn't see that he got hit by the iceberg. And he certainly doesn't see he's going down and he needs the lifeboat. He doesn't get that he needs the gold now, not later. Now, as you said, Luke, it's the beginning. I don't know if it's the beginning. It's what's happening is it's gone up. I mean, probably a year ago, I was buying gold at 17, 1800. Now it's 25. So it's moving, but it's slow. It's like the Titanic trying to move, right? It takes a while for a huge boat to move. Well, that's what gold is. It takes a while, but you can see it moving to 25.50 or 25 and a quarter. And when it hits 3,000, it moved every 50 ounces goes up $100. You make $5,000. So when it goes to 3,000, you're going to make 25,000, right, on it. Plus it's gold. It's worth, it's the true value. You're getting 25,000. Where if you get it in this, you're really not. So that's the point. So it's the value of the dollar that's gone. That's what inflation is. And me, you, and Luke, and Pat are like the only people that understand that. Whoever's in the class is the only people that understand what's really happening. Everybody else is blindfolded, even, except for Egon and Mark McGuire. Everybody else that you see on these gold shows are, Andy Scheckman is blind. He does not understand that. He knows to buy gold, but he doesn't know why. He doesn't see the value of the dollar going because he doesn't understand you can't keep printing it. It goes to zero. That's why I get on those guys. They're not explaining, and they don't understand it's paper gold, not physical. They missed the two key points. It's paper gold, not physical, and the inflation is the value of the dollar dropping, got nothing to do with prices. And yet they'll say, oh, the prices are going up. Or this other Maloney guy says it's the CP lie. Well, if you believe any government statistics, you're out of your fucking mind. Why would you believe the government? They keep, we're revaluing our the unemployment isn't 2%, it's 5%. And it's, all this, it's all bullshit. You can't trust anything from liars. And that's all they are. They lied about 9/11. They lied about going to the moon. They lie about everything. Why would you believe them? They tell you something soft so that you don't think. They're going to lie about the inflation and blame Putin. They're going to say, well, it's Putin's fault that we have inflation. No, you printed the money to zero, JP Morgan. That's why we have inflation. That's why our money's worthless. Now, Putin had nothing to do with it. He's not printing money. If you gave it to him, he'd buy gold, and he knows the dollar's worthless. He knows he's got 20,000 tons of gold. He's not stupid. Yeah, we're definitely in early, Luke, but that's my job, is to get us at 2-3. I'm 2-3 jump squares moves ahead. Pat, Captain Kirk will have the light bulb moment when he is in the cold water. Well, exactly. Gold is now on an exponential curve. Well, if we get to physical gold will, I don't see it. If we got the Americans out, I don't know what London's doing, but soon every day we'll look at COMEX and it'll just be this, because who's stupid enough to short it? However, because it's not a physical market, it's still getting the price from derivatives. We need it to get out, and we need to get to that physical market. Oh, China bought 10,000 tons today. Oh, look, yeah, okay, the market went up. Because they should pay more for it if you're buying that, like anything else. If Canadian Club is sold out and they're charging $50, they go, well, let's raise the price to $60 and see if it sells out. Demand makes the price go up. Limited supply, high demand, high price. Rolex, Mantle cards, Brady cards, gold. But gold hasn't done it and silver hasn't done it. Well, we know where they're headed. They can try to control it. You watch what happens in the market. They're trying to control the stock market. At the end of the day, what'll happen is the billionaires from China and the billionaires from Germany and the billionaires from the UK, who are all leaving these countries because they're all going broke, are going to take their stocks. They're going to cash their stocks in because they're going to need money. And billionaires spend a lot more money than we do. They got $1 billion, $1 million houses. They need to furnish. They need to pay I don't know if they're smart enough to not have a mortgage, but they need money. And they need a lot more money than we need because that's how they live. So they're going to sell a ton of stocks, and there goes the stock market. It's the billionaires selling the stocks that are collapse the market. Plus, the companies aren't going to make money. I hear AI stocks today got crushed. I don't really follow the market, but I was at the gym and I saw that. So that's really what you're looking at is it's going to crash. The housing market will crash. The banks are going to crash. There's nothing they can do because the banks are set up, as he said, you give me money, Luke gives me money, I go lend it out to somebody who wants to buy a house. But if they stop paying me, I got to stop paying Luke. Sorry, Luke, I didn't get your 3% from my guy who I lent the money to who bought the house. He defaulted. He wasn't a good credit risk, so he couldn't pay me back. And now I own the house, which is a pain in the ass because I got property taxes and maintenance, and there's nothing I can do. I don't want to have a house. I'm a bank. And so he ends up. So I don't have any money for you, Luke, unless I Ponzi scheme other people's money to you. And that's why the banks close, is because if they stop getting the mortgages and the car payments and they start repossessing the cars in the house, that's not what a bank wants. I only want to loan you money out, get the 7%, give you 3, keep 4. That's how I am in business to do. That's it. I don't want to fuck around with everything else. So keep that in mind. What's going on with you guys? Luke, Pat, it all looks good by technical analysis, but I'm not sure that is a good barometer since it's a fake market. Well, I think what Pat's saying is everybody, all these dollars are going out, so therefore everybody will start running into gold. And he's right. We know the price of gold is not close to reality because it's been price fixed, right? You got derivatives lowering the price when nobody's selling. Once it gets to a free market of buying and selling, gold will be, $25,000 an ounce at least. And as it goes up, more people get into it because the frenzy happens. And that causes the price to go up because then we'll be in a free market, not listening to these derivatives. And that's the key to it. So, yeah, I believe so also that it's going to go up. And it's not a technical analysis. Ours is I don't know, what do you call what we're doing, but it's not technical. What is it? Technical fundamental? Mine's a fundamental analysis, which means I'm just looking. It's like betting on Mahomes. It's not a technical analysis. I'm betting on Mahomes. He's the best player and he's getting points. So I'm betting on Mahomes. So it's a functional, I believe. So there's technical as you're looking at charts. We're not looking at charts on gold. There is no chart. It's over 5,000. It's over 2,500. There is no chart on gold. But we know it's going to go up because of demand, because of them printing the dollar to nothing and everybody in BRICS needing gold. So we're looking at all this other reasons why, and there's no stopping it, and that's why it is exponential. Luke, what I meant is that physical gold will keep adding zero. Yeah, 2 to 20 exactly until the dollar collapses. And then gold does not get priced in dollars. So that's the dollar price of gold, 2,000, 20,000. Then we're going to get to the gold price of gold. Then you ain't seen nothing yet. I mean, this is just a baby right now because the dollar's gone. right now everything's priced in dollars. Well, when the dollar goes, now you got to price things differently. You got to find another medium of exchange, and it's going to be gold for all the BRICS countries, which means the gold price has to be huge. And then you price the things in gold. What's oil going to be? Well, it'll be, priced in gold. What are airliners going to be? What's a boat going to be? Priced in gold. A couple ounces of gold, you buy a yacht. You go fly to Europe on a half ounce of gold, quarter ounce of gold, probably. That's what gold will do. So it turns into its own money, unlike Bitcoin, and stocks certainly can't. And your house gets valued in gold. And that's what we're waiting for. That's why it's as much gold as you can eat, you buy, because you're going to need gold to do X and Y. But that's why we have a lot of silver. We have a lot of silver to buy the cheaper things, to go to the grocery store, to go get ribs. The silver will come in because gold's going to be worth a fortune. So that's why I'm saying you want 1/10 of an ounce, 1/4 of an ounce gold also. And you want silver because that'll be 3,000-4,000. Well, it'll be 3,000-4,000 an ounce, but then it'll go to priced in silver or priced in gold or whatever it's going to get. I guess it'd be priced in silver because that's real money also. And again, you'll go to the grocery store and you're not going to use an ounce of silver because that'll be way too much money. They'll be pricing milk and eggs and 1/10 of an ounce of silver. Everything will be M&Ms, 1/10 of an ounce, Fruit Loops, 1/10 of an ounce of silver, because the price will go down because the silver's limited. You can't fuck with silver. You can't fuck with gold. And with all these people, you got to realize how limited silver really is, because if they're using it, and again, silver runs out. So you got silver in phones and computers, but all the silver in the solar panels all runs out. So if you think there's 700 million tons, what do we got? 250,000 tons of gold. So let's say we have 750,000 tons of silver, but it wears out. And that's what's been mined. Minus how many tons are gone because they wore out. And you need them for Tomahawk missiles. You need it for the solar panels and the electric cars. How much of that's going to that is wearing out. So now there's really less than 750,000 tons. There might only be 500,000 tons available. And a lot of people like you, Luke, and like our other guys on Mark McGuire, they have a ton of silver. Everybody has a ton of silver because it's cheap. So there's probably not that much silver available anyway. And the only thing that's going to create to get more is going to be price going up. So it's all you can eat, basically. There's no, like, Luke, you've asked me, do I have enough? No, you don't. Buy more. Just keep buying. Yeah, all I can tell you is it's like Christmas. I mean, it's all you can eat. It just buy it and wait for the price to go up. And again, the real thing you're trying to do is your health. You're trying to get out of the dollar. So as all these dollars you have, you're trying to get out. And your problem with your buddy, or I don't know if he's your buddy anymore, this Kirk, the problem with him is he doesn't see that. He's in dollars. He's in shark infested waters. He doesn't get his dollars are monopoly, right? See, we're smart enough to get off the boat into the lifeboat, and we're just sitting there because we know what's going to happen. He doesn't know what's going to happen, but he's blind to it because it's worth so much, even though it isn't. His $4 million, well, but the dollar's 99 cents gone. So he's got, each of his dollars is worth a penny. So he's got $400,000, but he thinks he has 4 million. So this is his problem. He can't recognize that he's got monopoly money. And a lot of these rich guys are blinded. They just don't get that the dollars are worthless. I got 1 million of them. You got 1 million monopoly money. I mean, you don't have real money. But they'll never listen until the boat sunk. Like Pat said, until they're in the water, they won't do it. And that's why the question is, at what point does he dump? When it's at 3 million, when it's at 2 million, when it's at 1 million? At what point do you realize you ain't getting it back? You're fucked. You should have bought gold when you had the 4 million. The 4 million in gold would be worth 4 million going up to 50 million. The 4 million in dollars is going to zero. He'll lose everything. It doesn't matter. He's got 4 million. And then, like you said, will he start buying gold at 15,000 an ounce? I doubt it, because he's going to sit there and his mentality is, it'll come back. As the idiot friend in Alabama who said, well, you're older, I'm young, and if it drops, I'll wait till it comes back. When I got done laughing, it was a shake my head moment, like, you're an idiot. I can't talk to any of these people anymore. That's why it's hard for me to work, because there's so many idiots at work that just are fucking clueless. So I prefer this. 1 gram of gold for 1 or more barrel of oil. Is that 1 ounce of gold? Let's say it's an ounce of gold, or maybe a gram. Well, the oil will get priced in gold, as will the house and the car and the airplane tickets and the vacation. How much is enough, Professor, for gold and silver? Like I said, there's never enough. As much you're getting, it's like saying how much sugar should I have trying to get my blood pressure down? And the answer is none. Until I get down to 120/80, then I can have a little bit of sugar, but not a lot. But when you're trying to lose and get your blood pressure down, there is no sugar available that you should be having. So there is never an answer to that, Pat. It's as much as you can buy at these cheap prices. See, the problem is understanding that the prices are very cheap, and you're getting the steal of the century. Every time I go and buy a $30 ounce of silver, this is why I sing and dance coming out of the store. It's like, oh, I just got another 10 ounces, 20 ounces, because it's a $2,000 an ounce thing. And gold's a $20,000 an ounce thing, and I can get it for now $2,600. And I sing and dance going out, knowing that it's not. When it was $1,700, I was singing and dancing, going, well, this has got to be over 2,000. I know where it's heading. And at 2,100 or 2,000, I was singing and here at 25, not even, this hasn't even moved yet. This is the beginning. This is because of BRICS and central banks buying. We don't have people like well, the problem is it's still on COMEX. Even if people like us were to buy 10 tons each, it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't move the needle yet. But when COMEX is blowing up because of Basel III, it's a tier 1 asset, which helps, but it's gold. So it's like saying, how many Picassos should I buy? As many as you can carry. Luke. He has Federal Reserve notes. He's got garbage. He's got this. Yeah, he's got Federal Reserve notes. That's what it's worth. He's got heavily printed, worthless pieces of monopoly money. Only he doesn't know it. Now, you can tell him that just so in a year you can say, I tried to warn you, but you didn't listen. And by the way, I got 2 full boxes of silver, but you know what? I'm not giving you any. Just rub it in, sorry. I tried to, but you had a lot of monopoly money, so goody for you. And that's the problem. People are just so stupid. It's funny as I was talking yesterday, why did people get into OneCoin? It was a Ponzi scheme. Why did they get into Madoff? It was a Ponzi scheme because they want to get rich. And they don't want to get rich by their own. They want somebody else to get them rich. Oh, if I'm with Madoff, I get 15%. I'm putting in $1 million in Madoff and I get 15%. What's he do? I don't care. I get 15%. So I don't have to do anything to make the money. Madoff's making me the money. And so as long as I'm getting 15%, I don't care what Madoff's doing because I want to be rich. And here we are giving away the golden goose. We are giving the answer. The golden goose is the way to get rich on your own without Madoff, without Crypto Queen, without Bitcoin. You can get rich all by yourself. Just go to the coin store and trade in your worthless dollars and go get gold. That's it. That's all you got to do. That's the secret. You can do it all on your own, but buy physical. Don't be in ETFs. Don't be in IRA stocks. Don't be in the stock market because you got to get out before it crashes. That's going to take your golden goose away. Just buy physical gold and silver and you'll be rich. I mean, it's that simple. And yet, oh, well, I don't know. I got to take the money. I got to go to the bank and take my money out. And then I got to go buy gold. Oh, my God, such hard work. No, I want to just give it to Madoff and let Madoff make me money. This is the mentality of 99% of the people who are just don't want to learn. Like your friend, he could be rich beyond his dreams, but he's trying to be rich, but he's in the wrong boat. He's not in the gold lifeboat. He's in the Titanic, and it's going to sink. But you can tell the people on the Titanic, the boat's going to sink, but they won't listen to you. I heard a conspiracy theory on that. My friend at the barbecue place, the owner, we always talk gold and silver, and he said, "Did you hear about the Titanic? The people on the Titanic were rich, and we know they were from the movie. There's some rich guys. They wanted to go to a gold-backed currency because this was like 1913, 1914, whenever it crashed. It must have been 1912, 1913. And they wanted to introduce a gold-backed currency. These were rich guys, right? And the Federal Reserve and the people in power didn't want it. So he believes that they sunk the Titanic on purpose and all these people died. And then he said 5 or 6 months later, the Federal Reserve was created. And, I thought about it and I go, yeah, it's right up the alley. I believe that's true, not a conspiracy, because I know the rich guys on it, like Levi Strauss. And, if you watch the movie, there's a bunch of rich, real rich, filthy Guggenheim, I think, were on the boat. And just so happened it, they didn't have the key to the binoculars and they couldn't see and nobody would come to their aid. Yeah, a lot of bullshit went on there. Women and children first was the order, not only women and children. So in other words, if me and my ex and my kids, we all should have got on the lifeboat. It wasn't women and children first and then men later. It was the women and children get on with the man. That's what was the order. So because these guys, the Guggenheims, were the rich guys, so they didn't want them on the lifeboat. So anyway, so that's a story that he heard that I, of course, would go, yeah, makes a lot of sense to me. It's like these plane crashes that happen and you find out there's some, wealthy ex-wife or guy on it that screwed somebody over. So they take the plane down because then there's no witnesses. But that's what happened. So it's as much gold and silver as you can eat. And we're close. I mean, you can see it. It's going up 25, 20. If you didn't listen to me, you'd have no idea that gold could get over 2,000 an ounce. You wouldn't even think it'd get there. It was 17, 18, 1900. You would have no clue that you're going to see 2,500. And you have no clue that you're going to see 10,000, right? You'd be like, oh, that can't happen. So it will happen. I was watching some idiot yesterday, and he's trying to explain why gold went up. And he said, well, in 2019, they made it a tier 1 asset. Yeah, it didn't go up in 2019. It's going up because the inflation of the dollar is going out, and the BRICS countries are all buying gold. So the demand for gold is high, which makes the price go up. It's very simple. And yet these idiots don't have a clue. They don't understand inflation. They never talk about that the dollar's going out. And you get so frustrated watching these. It really, it's I want to listen because I want to learn. And then I realize these guys are morons. So he's trying to explain why gold's going up. Yeah. Jesus, got nothing to do with inflation because you don't know what inflation is. It's not prices, you idiot. So anyway, it's as much as you can buy. Lucas, if BRICS announces a gold-backed currency in October 22nd, the dollar price in gold will go nuts. How nuts? Who knows? Well, they'll introduce it at least 5,000 to 7,500. And then people will start running out of their currencies into gold because they'll realize what's going on. And we'll see and the dollar will get killed at that point. That's what Mark McGuire says, is there's a reason they're doing it before the election. And I don't know, Trump's friends with Putin, so maybe he's telling him to do it in October. But, I mean, you're going to see 10,000 an ounce gold. Sure as we're sitting here. There's really you can see Comex can't fight it. I mean, Comex wants 2,100 gold. They'll never see it. And then the guy was saying how gold could go down to 1,600 if this and that happened. And I had to turn it off. It was like, this guy's so fucking stupid. Maybe I should show you so you can see what not to watch. I like doing that. There's this one by Douglas McGregor. Ukraine front collapses. Zelensky's trying to come out with a victory speech. Let's watch about 5 minutes of this, then I'll find that guy.
The Eastern Front on the Russia-Ukraine war is in possibly the early stages of an actual collapse. Things are starting to fall apart at an increasing rate in the east. The Russian army is making larger and larger advances to the west.
Yeah, you're right,
Ukraine
Pat.
is having a hard time even maintaining their positions, much less to stop the Russian onslaught. Meanwhile, in the northern part of the country, the Ukrainians continue to be stuck in their incursion in the Kursk region. Their forward momentum has effectively stopped. And it's not clear how much longer they can stay there. In the midst of all of this, we have a public statement by President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine, who says he's going to come next month to Washington to visit with President Joe Biden to give him the victory plan over Russia. So that is by itself a big eye opener and a head scratcher. And we're going to get into why that is. With Colonel Doug McGregor, CEO of our country, our choice combat veteran, highly decorated, who's himself been in tank battles before. So there's nobody better to talk about these things today and bring some reality into the situation desperately needed. Doug, welcome to the show.
Thanks.
Well, listen, we'll just jump right into this one because there's no sugarcoating this. This is going to be hard for you to watch. It was hard for us to put together, and I can only imagine how you're going to respond to some of this if you haven't seen it. But wow, I feel kind of bad for a lot of the Western public who only sees some of the clips that we're about to pop up there without the context and without the analysis that we're going to be asking you to provide here in a second, because some of these things are just incredibly detached from reality, even more so than some of the things we've been talking about earlier in this war. And if you think I'm exaggerating, first of all, let's start off with Zelensky himself. This is what he had to say yesterday at a press conference.
Курщина, як я вам сказав, входить в наш план перемоги України. Може, це звучить осягнутно, але план – це для нас дуже важливий план. Я деякі речі, напевно, щось можу сказати, не впевнений, що все. Один із напрямків, де частина якого вже зроблена, це Курщина. А другий напрямок – це стратегічне місце України в безпековій інфраструктурі світу. Третій напрямок – це пакет примусу, потужний пакет примусу Росії до закінчення війни дипломатичним шляхом. І четвертий напрямок економічний, про все це детально говорити не буду. План підготовлений. Думаю, справедливо, якщо я цей план представлю спочатку президенту Сполучених Штатів, від нього залежить успіх цього плану.
Okay, so I want to put just a wee bit of context on his point 3 of his basically 5 points there before we get your comment. He says he's going to have a powerful new package to force Russia into a negotiated settlement. And this is after they spent somewhere between 6 to 9 months preparing an offensive in 2023, which was utterly crushed and had its teeth broken on the first of 5 defensive lines by the Russian side there. And now then, after all of that, he comes out with this plan. Doug, what do you say when you hear him say he's going to force Russia to negotiate?
Well, frankly, if he's planning on a trip to Washington, you said next month, it might be a one-way trip because he may not be able to go back. That's how bad things are in Ukraine. And I cannot conceive of any means of turning this around. Certainly not with any particular weapon system. And the armed forces themselves are decimated. It's pure fantasy, once again, for the consumption of people in the West.
And when you, especially because he's saying that his point 1 was that the Kursk operation, this incursion, this bulge, if you'll forgive the analogy there, where he pushed up into the Russian side there, he said that was part of his plan. That's what forced Russia into negotiated settlement. On the first point, let's just look at the Russian side of this. What do you think, from all the history that you understand about Russia, that they're going to take a single, even partial tactical setback, and it's going to have strategic implications that they're just going to say, all right, we'll go ahead and negotiate with you? When you hear that, what do you think?
Well, the Russian Foreign Minister, Sergei Lavrov, has spoken on this topic, and we need to take him seriously. He's been in the job for 20 years, and he is in the grand tradition of other former Russian foreign ministers like Nesselrode and Gorshakov in the 19th century. He understands his own people, his own state. He understands what President Putin is trying to achieve, and he's made it abundantly clear. The period of negotiation is at an end. There's no longer any willingness to do that. So I think the Russians are now on a path to what I would call final resolution of the conflict. Not sure what that looks like, but I certainly think it looks like Ukraine without Zelensky and the regime in Kiev.
Now, for the benefit of those who may not have seen, I'm going to real quick hit wrong button. I'm going to pull up the.
So I'm like Douglas McGregor. In other words, here Zelensky saying we got victory and we're going to go to Biden and get the victory and everything, and he says it's pure fantasy. And it's a lot like me, people saying gold and silver, this and that, and it can't do it, and the dollar's not, the inflation's down. And then I come up and say they're all out of their fucking minds. So it's a very similar correlation. The bottom line there is Russia's up 73-0. They're going to win. They've already won. Zelensky won't realize that. He keeps getting this money laundering from the U.S., and and that's fine. So really it's just, you read the headlines and they're all bullshit. And that's what you read with inflation. Inflation's fine. Unemployment's fine. The market's going up. It's all bullshit. And so you've got to really understand what they're saying and how to react to it. Luke and Pat, BRICS announced a gold-backed currency October. Gold will go nuts. How nuts? It'll go very high. Yes, we know that. Luke, imagine what silver will do. It's going to shock the world. A double whammy from industrial investor panic, and we are already having a chronic shortage. Again, there's no supply, high demand, high. It's got to be high price. We know the price is being fixed. So your question is, how long can the price be fixed? At what point will we get to a physical price? And I believe that's coming very soon. With the demand, they don't have the supply to feed the demand to the Indians and the Saudis who need the silver for these solar panels. And that's what it's at. So we're looking at just a regular, if we can get the free market to say, the demand's huge, the supply's here, so the price has to come up. So we'll definitely see a higher price. Luke, Pat, it's Andrew McGuire, not Mark McGuire. Yeah, I like football terms, actually, but yeah, Bobby actually named that. Silver could go up to 1,000. It'll go up much higher, I think. It'll eventually go to the 10-1. So when gold hits 20,000, silver should hit 2. Keep in mind, as gold goes up and becomes very hard to find, then people will buy silver because that's money and it'll be cheaper. So that's going to drive the silver price through the roof, is that you can't get gold. And if you can, it's so expensive that you're like, screw it, I'll just buy silver, knowing it's money. That's what's going to happen with it. This could all break and happen soon. I would think by October. It's Katie bar the door. I don't see it really going much past October. They're going to try for the election to not let the cat out of the bag and not let the stock market crash. JP Morgan will be busy printing, making the money worth nothing by then. So they can say, look at the stock market. It's at 45,000. Yeah, sure it is. Just like inflation's at 2%. Yeah, if you believe that, which we don't. Professor, also all the modern weapons consume a lot of silver. Yes, and that's the point also, is it does, but the silver wears out. When you fire a Tomahawk missile with 500 ounces of silver and it hits, there goes 500 ounces of silver that can't be used. It's gone. Now, if you put gold in those, you couldn't destroy the gold. That's the beauty of gold. You can't destroy it. Silver, certainly you can destroy. So that's the other part. There really isn't 750,000 tons or 850,000 tons of silver, because as we know, a lot of people have a lot of silver that they don't know about. They can't possibly know how much silver's out, but I guarantee you there can't be more than maybe 100,000 tons left, which will go like that once India and Saudi Arabia start buying 10,000 tons of silver for their solar panels, thanks to Larry Fink and the ESG bullshit. Maybe that's why he's doing it, just to get them to knock the silver price up. Anyway, so this is a pretty interesting interview if you want to watch it. But he basically goes on to say that Russia's won the war. They need to get Zelensky out. Poor Jenna, she's on a 15, 20-hour train ride from Warsaw down into the Ukraine. She has to cross the border, go into, and then go the distance from Poland all the way to near Russia. She lives more in the eastern side. And, she says, well, I want to live in Berlin. And I'm like, well, it's kind of expensive and it's going broke. Really don't want to live there. I'd rather live in Serbia or Russia, to tell you the truth, somewhere that's in the BRICS. I'd rather live in a BRICS country, I think, although they're all so communist. Venezuela, Iran. You just hate to, I don't want to live in India. China for sure, no. And it's funny how all these poor countries are communist, except for Russia, which actually turned capitalist. All right, so enough of that. Let's see if I can find this interview with this idiot. Here's one. A Ukraine F-16 crashes. This is one of the planes that the U.S. Gave them, and it crashed. So there goes $1 billion down the toilet. Here's one on the stock market. Let's watch this.
Look at you, investing like you run the joint. Mitch, because you articulate that if we can explain to people who's preaching to you, what are they?
Congress unanimously passed the CARES Act. At the Fed, we used our powers to an unprecedented extent to stabilize the financial system and help stave off an economic depression. To an unprecedented extent of an economic depression.
Words straight from the horse's mouth as Jerome Powell admits that we have avoided temporarily a depression. And it's not just Jerome Powell. Ben Bernanke, through the great financial crisis and up until 2012, said he needed to do money printing and stimulus in order for us as a country to avoid a depression. And so on top of the layoffs, the overwhelming mass.
So what would money printing do besides make the money worthless? Why would money printing avert a depression? Didn't FDR do that? And we had a 15-year depression and from 32 to 45. You know, this is the problem. Oh, we got a money print. Money printing doesn't solve anything but causing massive inflation and killing the value of the dollar. That's all it does. Does not stop it. U.S. mercenaries are falling in Kursk. Yeah, but we're not in the war, are we? It's just funny how it's Ukraine. The average Ukraine soldier now is 45 years old because they're all dead. There's 600,000 killed. Most of the men ran out because they don't believe in the war. Zelensky's just a dictator, and it's martial law, which means the military is running the country, not the government, which basically is the same thing. So big trouble in the Ukraine. I wish Jenna would get the fuck out of there, but she won't come here. So, and it's funny is she still goes and gets her nails done, and she's going to her doctor for her yearly physical, and she goes and buys groceries and goes to the gym. Like there's where she lives, there's no war. It's kind of strange. It's only in those 5 cities that I showed you, Crimea, Donetsk, Kharkov, Odessa, and there's one other, where the oil is. I doubt they have $12 trillion of oil in those 4 cities, but it sounds good that they said it. And we can't let Putin have it. If it was there, Putin would have had it a long time ago. So, bunch of bullshit. All right. So, again, printing money does not stop a depression, does not stop unemployment, doesn't stop anything. It just makes your money worth even less. Stupid comment.
AI layoffs, we're also going to talk about and think about what's going on with the Federal Reserve, because an entire body of work and thought called Austrian economics that is stating that as a result of them doing this money printing, that the problem is just going to get worse and layoffs will just accelerate. So we got a lot going on today, guys. Obviously, I have our community wizard.
Wow, he said Austrian economics. I'm shocked. Nobody says that. I still can't listen to him, but real estate mindset, and this guest is an idiot, but we'll listen a little bit more so we can laugh at him.
Mitch Wexler here with us today to help break down what's going on in the markets with AI, with layoffs, and with the Federal Reserve. And Mitch, good morning, sir. Happy Thursday.
Who's
How
this
are you, buddy?
loser?
Good. It's been like normal. It's been a long few hours here. So we came in about 2 o'clock this morning, and we're still hammering away, but it's all good.
Yep. I'm making a ton of progress with the course as well. I mean, we're going to light them up, man. We're going to knock this system down. 2025 is going to be our year to take it down. So I'm excited. Now, Mitch, let me show the viewers where we're at right now with the market. On one hand, we have Jerome Powell, Ben Bernanke, all of these people saying, hey, U.S. citizens, taxpayer, we need to do this because we are avoiding a depression. So again, I don't get why the bulls are like denying all of this, but I also understand why consumers don't get it, because look at these headlines, Mitch. This is this morning. GDP update shows U.S. economic expansion in second quarter was stronger than initially reported. I wonder if it's from inflation and stimulus. Also saying U.S. economy grew 3% in second quarter, and that's the revised figure. In addition to that, more information came out. Layoffs remain low as first-time jobless claims decline. And you guys can all see this is from this morning. In addition to that, Mitch, trade deficit in goods widens sharply to the highest level in more than 2 years.
So Why? Who's reading this crap? Like, would you ever read this crap? I hope not. That's the problem. But it's the economy. What did he say? The economy was better. Yeah, better than the shit before. But again, they don't want to admit the economy's bad. That's why we don't listen to them. This is just to get, to see the bullshit out there. But we don't listen. We don't pay attention to it. We only are focused on gold and silver, and we're not up at 2 a.m. We're sleeping because we have gold and silver. We don't need to worry about anything. We're just waiting for the price to go. This is the place to be. We figured it out, and we're just sitting there. No stress. Gold's not going anywhere but up. Silver is waiting to go up, will go up. I mean, and the dollar's going out. So we've got the game. All right, a few more minutes of this shit.
Measure the volatility. Look at the market. The market's saying there's no volatility. Mitch, just send it. The VIX is down. The start of the morning, anyways, 7.89%. So before we jump into the layoffs, and trust me, we will jump into the layoffs, Mitch, can you give us a quick breakdown on what's going on around the market and why on this Thursday morning?
Yeah, so what you're looking at is exactly what I thought was going to happen, which is I made the case that there could actually be a double top, and it's on its way up, and it's up again this morning. The NASDAQ is up. So it's basically what in the stock market world is called pump and dump. So when Goldman Sachs came out, I, in the last video, explained why they're doing nothing but speaking their book. And more than likely, they will start loading up on puts when we come up to that double.
If you're not making $158,000
Why
per
these
year,
commercials? Motherfucker.
Come up to that double top, and that's when things will start breaking down. So, yeah, the market is going to do what the market is going to do, but the ramifications of what you're seeing in every single one of those stories is the pump. Under the hood, here's the problem.
This guy's so clueless. It's because of the inflation. I don't know what's he playing, basketball, a pump and a double pump. Are they doing derivatives? I don't see them. I don't put options where the market keeps going up. So what he's saying is the market's going up, and then they're dumping stocks and then buying it again. That's a double top, and then it's going to collapse with all these derivatives. He misses the points because of the inflation. The money's worthless, and all the foreigners are going to sell their stocks. That's why it's going to go down. Don't tell me these people are that smart to knock the price up and then watch it go down. No, everybody's buying. Like our friend with the 401k, that's $4 million. He doesn't talk about dumping and pumping and double pumping and all this shit. I don't know about Mitch. I'm not a Mitch fan. The guy sounds like a moron. He hasn't mentioned inflation as the problem, right? So let's give him another minute, see if he mentions it.
With everything you've just seen, even when they come out and say, well, we took this survey, we took that survey, you have to break it down and understand who's giving the information on the surveys. You want a real survey? Walk into a grocery store and start asking real people, then you get to the truth. Past that, this is a straight pump and dump.
Yeah, Mitch, I don't get why people still trust them. They still trust the market. They're still, letting the market think for them. Still.
You have to understand that the market's got a job, and the job of the market is price discovery. So they're no different than a politician. They'll lie straight to your face.
If it's a free market, which he doesn't quite understand. The stock market is not a free market. It's being manipulated by the government, who are printing a bunch of dollars and shoving them in those 5 or 6 stocks. And that's why the market's up. It's not people aren't buying. It's the government dumping, $1 trillion into the market in just those 4 or 5 stocks. He doesn't get it. So let's see a little bit more of this moron.
In order to pump it up, knowing full well that the retail traders are going to get screwed on this, and the big boys more than likely are already loading up on different forms of puts under the market. So nobody's going to sit there and just say, okay, we're going to ride this up. I mean, the idea that we've been up, this market's gone up for the last 10 years straight up. And the idea that that's going to continue is a fool's errand. So yeah, you get 23% on the odd year, but do you understand that the market's only made about 14.5% per annum per year on average? So it's not the panacea when they say, well, we're up 24%, we're going to hit 30%. Yeah, it's not true. Go back, just look at the last 10 years. It's only been about 14% a year on an index, right? So call it NASDAQ, S&P, call it whatever you want. It's only 14%. And then to make the matter even more interesting for people, you have a pension fund. So your pension fund, net of fees, only earns about 6.7%. The market's doing double up, and you got your money in a pension fund. You think it through.
We broke down a whole video we're going to make for you guys probably this weekend on that. I mean, it's absolutely beautiful. But the thing, Mitch, I mean, a financial advisor, it seems like to me, a financial advisor or even an economist or literally anyone that's working for a company that's designed to profit off of the public, they're always going to give you advice that, you know, turns you right back around to spending your money. It's literally their job. So,
okay, these guys don't know. They sell. They're selling paper, the banks, the stocks, because they don't have gold in their inventory. They can't talk gold. They're not trying to save you. They're not trying to protect you. They're trying to get you into. They're trying to get you into the Titanic. So they keep telling you to buy things that are dollars. Stocks, bonds, real estate trust, annuities, and everybody's going down, but this guy still fails to talk about inflation. Job market collapse, 133,000 fired, mass AI layoffs. I think this is the one. Yeah, I think this was the video we were watching. All right. Let's see if I can find these morons. I think I showed you this. Price control, Thomas Sowell, where he talks how bad they are because it gets you out of the market. Hey, maybe we'll watch that one again. That was a fun one. Let's watch this again.
Some years ago, when I taught at Brand. Some years ago, when I taught at Brandeis, I traveled from California to Massachusetts and discovered that my auto insurance rates had doubled. And since Los Angeles is not a small village or something, you wonder why does that happen? Now, at about the same time, many other people were upset because Massachusetts had the highest auto insurance premiums in the country. The political answer was not to say, why are these premiums so high? What fact are they conveying? But it was to control the premiums. In fact, they launched an investigation of the insurance industry, the net result of which was they discovered that insurance companies were losing money in Massachusetts, charging the highest auto insurance premiums in the country. Now, anyone who's ever seen Massachusetts drivers will know that there's no mystery as to why those premiums are so high. The only place where you can regularly see drivers changing lanes in the tunnel during the rush hour is in the Callahan Tunnel in Boston. When I taught at Brandeis, I can recall driving to work on the right-hand side of the street and being surprised to see a tractor trailer pass me on the right on the shoulder of the road. The only place where I've seen emergency vehicles with their sirens on having to jam on the brakes because someone did a left turn in front of them is in Massachusetts. But of course, people didn't want to hear what the prices were telling them, and so the answer was to control the prices themselves. There have been many other areas in which there have been price controls. They have a standard, really stereotypical pattern. One is that you reduce the supply of whatever is being controlled. Not surprising since people do less when they're paid less. The other is that you reduce the quality of what's being controlled, because higher quality is costlier than lower quality. And when you force the prices down, people then reduce the quality of what they're producing. One of the classic examples is housing. Wherever rent control has been put in, there is a shortage of apartments. In many places, there's a provision in the law that says this is only a temporary measure until the housing shortage is over. And sometimes.
Now, the part he's not bringing up is what happens is, as we know, here's the market, right? So you're going to sell ribs for $30 and the market's $30. So we'll keep with ribs because we like ribs. And then what happens is if you price control ribs to $22 this hand, but the market's the market will pay 30 or 28. It doesn't matter. Market will pay 28, but you're price fixing it down to 22. So all this demand wants the ribs. That's what happens. So the demand wants ribs at 22. They'll buy more. However, the people on the other end making the ribs, it costs them $26 to make them. So they make a $2 profit, let's say. And so therefore, you're creating this huge demand because you're lowering price under market, but yet the people making the ribs are now losing money on it, so they won't make it. So the price control does absolutely nothing. It forces the people making it out because they're not making profit. And then it puts so much demand on the ribs because it's under market that it ends up where you don't have any ribs to buy because the producer, the butcher can't make it at that price. And if there is any out, everybody buys it. And that's what's going to happen with our silver and gold. This is the price fixing, right? You've price fixed silver at $30 an ounce. However, the market is probably at $50 to $100 an ounce at this point. For us, it's $1,000 an ounce, but for the most people, they're like $50 an ounce, and they're selling it for 30 because that's where the price fixing's at. So you can see how they still have supply. I don't know because it must cost them less than the $30 to produce it. But as we go into the store, we buy all we can get, and then we go, well, why is it so cheap? Like it's so cheap. We're going, why is it so cheap? Wait a minute. It's never going to go over 30, and that's really where the Madoff is. It's really worth more, even though they're keeping the price down. So people buying it just don't really get that it is too cheap. You think it's too cheap, it is too cheap. All right, back to.
They define that in terms of some percentage of vacancy and so on. And what they don't understand is that as long as that law is on the books, there will always be a shortage, and there will never be a time to take the law off the books. In Paris, they put a law like this on the books as an emergency measure during World War I. It was still in force when World War II broke out. In Sweden, they put one in the early days of World War II. Decades later, it was still there. Finally, for some reason, it occurred to someone to take off the price controls. Instantly, there was a housing surplus. The housing projects put up by the Swedish government suddenly began to have high vacancy rates, and in fact had to be bailed out because they couldn't fill them. I thought about rent control a few years ago when I visited West Berlin. It was still a difference in those days. And I could see this marvelous new modern city. And I came back and visited some of my relatives in the Bronx. And as I drove into the Bronx and I saw all these hulks of abandoned and boarded up buildings, I thought, suppose someone from Mars had come down here and you said to him, which of these two cities was bombed during World War II? He would pick the Bronx because Berlin had recovered from the bombing, but the Bronx had not recovered from rent control.
Mr. Pat, we are watching a tragic clown show. Exactly. People have no idea what's happening. That's why they don't teach it. So nobody will understand it except for our family. In the Great Depression, people were cooking their belts so the hot water had more flavor, whatever nutrients the belt had. Well, again, why did the Great Depression happen? Because the government got involved. FDR raised taxes, took the gold that might have helped the people, although he did pay you for it. It's not like they took it. It was $20 an ounce. So if you had 10 ounces, you did get $20 for each ounce of gold, but gold was not obviously at its free market value. But the depression happened because you basically had high taxes. All the money was by the government, which we know can't possibly run as good as the free market. Their price controls, they did what? Roads and the Hoover Dam and railroads. It was government spending, but you need free market spending. You don't want the government spending because they can't spend nearly as good as we can. So they take all our money. Hey, let's build a road. Let's build a railroad. Where's the revenue for that? Well, there isn't any. We'll print money to pay the workers, but they'll be working. It's the stupidest thing you've ever seen. Just stop. The government needs to get out of it. Let the people keep their money, and then you need jobs. And then what happened was in World War II, we needed tanks built and planes and guns and things for Russia and England. So we needed that. We basically sold them the stuff, and they paid for it. So that's where the only time in a war you got paid for it. That's how we became the reserve currency people, because we took all of England's gold to pay for all their military, and probably Russia's too. And then we had the gold, and we were so we kind of stole it. That's what the U.S. is famous for. Thomas Sowell, very good, Austrian. Let's see, where are these idiots? China put a restriction on metals right here. More critical than rare earth. These are metals used in military. So we want to make a gun or a missile or a rocket or whatever. We need this certain type of metal that China has, and China's now restricting it, not letting us get the metals that we need to build these things. It's beautiful. Let's see. Some nice Munster videos, if you're into the Munsters. I love when Herman plays baseball for the Dodgers. That was the funniest thing I ever saw. Let's see. I showed you this. BRICS launched a interbank system disruption of Western economies. So they're already launching it, but we're getting to the gold-backed currency. So they're launching this, and then they'll launch the second currency, which will be the gold-backed currency. You'd love this one. The everything wrong with the education system explained. Talk about a clown show. A generation of that's too long, but it's just basically they don't teach the kids. They kind of teach their agenda instead of what, math and science and history. Yeah, I can't find it. I thought I just watched it. And then there's always Egon.
Can we have a giant banking crisis in Europe?
First of all, no individual will be able to pay these high energy costs. You know, you're talking about energy costs in Europe, in many countries, being up 10 times. As we know, people live from paycheck to paycheck. When you all of a sudden going to pay 5,000, 10,000 euros in just energy costs, nobody will be able to afford it. So that's energy. And then you have food on top of that. And everything else will also increase dramatically. So what will happen is that people can't pay the loans. And it's not just Germany. You know, it's all over Europe. And it's the US too. You're not going to pay bank loans. You're not going to pay back mortgage loans. You're not going to pay back student loans or car loans. The bad debts of the banks will now increase exponentially. And on top of that, you will have much higher interest rates.
Don't we have a giant banking crisis?
Yes, we do. Well, it's about to get more giant. And there was another Egon one I was at. Oh, this is the one with the idiots on it. So we got to watch. We got to watch. I'm gonna crush this video.
You see this plastic tote right here that I just pulled out of my cache site?
The biggest bubble in the world right now is anti-gold, because the biggest bubble in the world right now is cash.
Is there anything that could derail this bull market in precious metals now?
If you have Goldilocks, then the price of gold will come down. That's a 33% decline. If it does that right now from 2,500, it's going to 1,600. Wow.
So it's just for dramatic
Worst day on
effect.
Wall Street since the crash of 1986.
We're now down 43%.
This could be the most
This
serious
is another
recession
clown
in
show.
decades. Protect your retirement with a gold and silver IRA. Learn more at stbullion.com/IRA. Hey everyone, thanks for watching Yankee Stacking. Yeah, gold and silver are on their way up. Gold reaching all-time record highs. Silver, not so much yet. So I'm going to ask Lior Gantz of the Wealth Research Group why this is
Don't ever
happening.
use this guy.
I'm going
He's
to
an
ask
idiot.
him what could derail this bull market. Hi, Lior. Great to see you.
Great to be here.
Now, gold keeps busting through all-time record highs. Silver is starting to move up as well. So, Lior, what are the reasons for these recent rises?
You can see my vote.
For gold, the chief reason that it's trading at 2,500 and above is something that happened on April 1st, 2019. And that is the change, the tier one asset. There are only 3 tier one assets in the world. That's cash, sovereign bonds, and now it's gold. And so when gold changed from 50% collateral to 100% collateral, the day it happened, gold was trading for $1,291 an ounce. But effectively, what central banks told you in that day is it's worth double that. Right now, fulfilling basically the revaluation of gold.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a key reason, because that opens the door for central banks to own gold, for sovereign wealth funds to own gold, for pension funds, etc. And that's been happening for the last 5 years. The second thing that's driving gold prices up is the weaponization of the US dollar. In the last 4 years under Biden, the government has been sanctioning and using the SWIFT system as a toy against Russian oligarchs, and about 40 countries have some sort of a sanction placed on them. That weaponization of the dollar is effectively the end of the free trade Bretton Woods system. These major themes are really the key that is driving gold prices to where they are right now. Russia and China are you.
You forgot to mention the inflation, which is the only real reason the gold price is going up. It's amazing how these idiots get on and get, this got 47,000 views, and it's wrong. Did it have something to do with the tier one asset? Not really. It had more to do with Basel III, meaning you have to take delivery of the gold. because he doesn't understand this is all price fixed and it's all paper gold, not physical. He doesn't explain anything about inflation, and the reason we're buying it is because the dollar's going to zero and you got to get out of the dollar, and the lifeboat is gold and silver. He misses that point. He's saying, well, it's because of the sanctions. Well, I don't know if that's why they're getting into gold. It's more because of BRICS. All the central banks are buying gold because they want to go on a gold standard. It's really got nothing to do with sanctions. I mean, Russia was buying it before China, but it's really, they're not doing it because of the sanctions per se. They're doing it because the threat of the sanction wants you to get out of the dollar, and your only choice is gold. But he misses all that. Yeah, it's kind of fucking idiot, right?
Huge buyers of gold, especially China. I think that the gold story is a central bank government story. That is what's driving the price higher for gold. That's why you see silver not joining yet, because that is a retail story, and the retail public is just not participating as much as central banks. Now that can change.
So again, he misses the whole idea of comex. It's not a retail story. It's because comex is keeping the price down because they price fix it. He doesn't have a clue about BRICS. He doesn't have a clue about comex. It's a retail story. So if all the retail people started buying silver, that wouldn't change. That wouldn't move the needle at all. As I said, we could all go out and buy 10,000 or 10 tons of gold or silver. Everybody we know, 1,000 people could go buy 10 tons of silver. Price wouldn't move because it's the derivative paper price keeping the price where it is. It's got nothing to do with real free market demand. That's what we're hoping to get to. But at this point, it's got nothing to do with retail. I love kicking these guys' ass. Yeah, he does, doesn't he, Luke? Well, I'm just showing it so I can beat the fuck out of them like I'm enjoying doing. Like you said, he hasn't brought up BRICS. He hasn't brought up comex. He hasn't brought up paper, gold, and silver. This guy is fucking clueless. But this is what people like fall for. So yeah, this guy's an idiot. Again, this is another guy not to listen to, like Peter Schiff and Rick Rule and Reichart and Maloney. They're all fucking idiots because they don't get inflation. It cannot be measured by the price index. And there's BRICS, that is the demand of gold. And then you get comex is paper, gold, and silver. There's no market for it.
And we can see changes for gold, but for now, I think the key thing to remember, starting gun was the invasion of Ukraine. That essentially created a war on mainland Europe for the first time since.
Who cares? What's that got to do with Goldilocks?
Which leads me to my next question for you, Lior. Is there anything that could derail this bull market in precious metals now?
No.
I think that the worst environment for precious metals historically has been positive real rates. When you have positive real rates, which are effectively when you have inflation that's lower than the Fed funds rates or the 10-year bond, then that means cash actually pays you something. In those environments, gold and silver suffer. So if we start to see interest rates coming down in September, and you don't see a pickup in inflation, in other words, you see a situation where the efficiencies of the economy are so great that oil prices don't rise, that commodities remain in high demand, but they don't explode higher. If you don't have supply chain constraints, if you don't have these situations,
so this guy is out of his fucking mind. First of all, inflation, there is no rate for it. In reality, it's not 2, 3, 4%. The real rate. So what he's saying is if you can get more for dollars, you'll sell your gold. What an idiot. There won't be any dollars. Let me see if my comments there. I thought I left let's see. Well, comments by members. I'm not a member. Become a member. $2.99 a month to become a member. Oh my God. All right. So I can't watch this guy anymore. So what he's saying is the dollar has, if you can get more interest rate than inflation. So if you're stupid enough to believe that there's a 5% rate and inflation's 2%, you can make 3% on your money. You're going to sell your gold to get back into this that's worth a penny. See, so right there, this is what I love to eat up. This guy's fucking clueless. Doesn't understand inflation, doesn't understand brics, doesn't understand why gold's going up. Oh, it's because of Basel, because it's a tier one. No, it isn't. It's because it's Basel III. They can take that and they can get out of the paper gold is why gold's going up. The prices are set by the derivatives, not by the market. Doesn't understand that. Guy's an idiot. But you're right, Luke. This guy is an idiot, and we'll stay away from him. Pat, what do you think of Bill Halter and Ed Steer? I don't know that I've heard Ed Steer. Bill Halter's an idiot. I don't like Bill Halter. All he does is listen to me and then he spoots it back out and doesn't give me credit. He doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm very unique because I understand what's going on and most of these guys don't. He knows to buy gold, but he doesn't really understand paper gold and physical gold and everything else. I don't listen to him. At first he was okay. And then I realized he was copying me and I got kind of pissed. He brought up Titanic. Where'd you hear that from? I did my Titanic video. So I'm like, I don't like these guys who don't want to give me credit or when they're listening to me say, well, this is where I heard it. Like I give credit to Egon. So I don't like that. I don't think he knows what he's talking about. So I wouldn't listen. I wouldn't waste your time. Yeah, inflation is 2%. And I got oceanfront property here in Detroit. Well, it's not even a percentage. It's at least 20, but it could be 200%. The problem is you don't measure it in prices. Inflation is the value of the dollar going down because you printed too many dollars. That's the whole point of the inflation. You've devalued the currency. Now, what's supposed to happen is it takes more dollars to buy goods, which is why the price goes up, but you can't raise the price on all goods. As I said, Coca-Cola cannot make their 2 liters $5, or they would have, but they can't. Nobody's buying them at $2.95, so they can't raise the price anymore. That doesn't mean inflation's went down. It just means the market won't accept price increases. New York strips, you can't make them $50 a pound. Nobody will buy them. I told the rib guy, you can't make your ribs $45 for the slab. Nobody will buy them. And that's really the point and the reason. So once you understand that, you can't use prices as a way to measure. So how do you measure 2%, 10%, 20%? It's just strictly, well, we won't include all the stuff that went up. We'll just include a few of the stuff, and that'll be how we measure inflation. Oh, look, prices year over year. Well, it's already gone from $1.50 to $3 for the Coke. So it's already gone up 100%. And now, that was last year. This year, it's still $2.95, $3. We'll call it $3. It's still $3. So there was no more inflation. But it went from $1.50 to $3. There is 100% inflation that you're not counting. So yeah, inflation, you can't really measure with a percent. That's what most of these idiots don't get. It's the devaluation of the money by printing too much money. So, good luck with percentages. It's got nothing to do with it. It's what your dollar will buy. And as we buy less and less, who gives a fuck about the percentage? All we care about is that this really has very little value. Traded for gold that has value, that should be up 10 times what it's at now. Because if inflation is that high, why didn't gold jump? And, again, it's jumping because of the dollar going out because of the inflation. But again, only us Austrians understand the dollar's going out. Like we said, Rome and Germany and Spain and the Netherlands and France and England and Zimbabwe, Venezuela, the dollar loses value. That's the inflation, and it's happened all the time, all over the place. But yeah, for some reason they don't quite still understand it because they're just fucking idiots. In Switzerland, the media is using climate change for the big rise in price for olive oil, cocoa, and coffee. Yeah, well, some people will listen to it. Again, people are ignorant, and so if somebody tells them today's Friday, they'll believe it. But today's Thursday. Yeah. But you did say it was Friday, so I believe it was Friday. People actually believe it. Exactly, Luke or Paul, Pat. Yeah, I mean, because people don't know. They don't know what the cause is. So if somebody says, the sky's green and they don't know that, yeah, the sky's green. Well, it's blue. But they don't know what a color is, so they can't say if it's green or blue. That's the big problem with people. They're not educated. The education system is horrible in the U.S. People are learning nothing. I mean, the basic stuff, this gold stuff should be taught in 7th, 8th grade, 9th grade, maybe. This is what gold is. This is what the dollar is. This is what inflation is. And yet it's not taught. And it's unbelievable. Hey, Luke, you like Bill Halter, been listening to him for 5 years. He's ahead of the game along with Egon. So is Bix Weir. These guys have dedicated their time for decades to getting back to sound money. I don't like Bill Holder. I like Egon, but Bill Holder is not like Egon. He really doesn't get it, but just be careful listening to him. Egon, yes, I definitely him and Mark McGuire. Mark McGuire we listen to because we want to hear what's going on in Russia and the BRICS coming out in. Here comes the BRICS in October 22nd. That's why I listen to Mark. He kind of doesn't get it. Egon is more of a banker, a little bit of an economist, understands dollars going out. Bill Halter doesn't get that. I don't get that. I don't watch Bill Halter because he doesn't get it. So just be careful with that. Luke Bix is great and will be right one day, a 1-to-1 silver gold. Well, that'll never happen. Who's this Luke Bix? Where's he from? From Australia or some other country? Never heard of him, and I never heard of your other guy, Ed Steer. So I've never heard of him, so I don't watch him. Liberty and I hate Liberty and Finance guys. Oh, I hate the host of the show. But a lot of theirs, just be careful with that. They're not really. You're getting some bad information on those guys. I mean, I'm not going to be a dictator and tell you not to listen to them. I'm only saying when you do listen to them, be careful because they're not. It's like Lynette Zhang. She's hyperinflation's here. No, it isn't here yet. As much as you want it to be here, she knows gold's more important than dollars. Okay, fine, but I wouldn't listen to her either. I only listen to Egon and then Mark McGuire when it comes to BRICS. But you've got to understand it's paper gold, and they don't get it. I don't think Bill Halter gets it. I don't know about these other guys. Ron Paul, he's pretty good. I like Thomas Sowell, but he died. But just the price control thing, he could explain it. I like the guy from Sweden who explains capitalism. He's pretty good. I used to like Alligator, but I don't like him anymore. He's kind of changed, and it's kind of sounds like an idiot. So I don't really listen to him. But I'm not really looking for people to listen to too often. Bix Ware from California is very passionate about silver. Doug Casey, good too. I don't like him either, but that's okay, boys. You just be careful because you want to get the accurate information, and that's what you understand. So if you watch them, let me know what you think they said, and then, but it all comes back to brics. The demand for gold is why the gold price is up. Paper gold and physical. The Basel III is why the gold price is going up. When we kill comex is when it goes up, and the BRICS gold-backed currency will do it. So I don't know what they're telling you in any other way or other ideas, but stock market will crash, housing market's crashing, and the banks are crashing. So I don't know what they're telling you, but if it's anything besides what I just said, be very careful. Careful who you listen to. I don't like too many of them. All in the same professor, need God discernment. All in same team, need God discernment. I like Vladimir Putin too. Well, I'll tell you, I'd rather have Vladimir Putin as our leader than Biden or Trump. Anybody that understands gold, I like as my leader. He's a strong leader. I don't know how he is to live under. If he, like Daria's afraid if I go to Russia, I know I'll give him the passport and it's U.S. and she's worried that they're going to be marking me and going, "What are you here for? Why would a U.S. guy come to Russia in the middle of a war?" I'm here to meet my girlfriend. So I don't know. She's concerned about it, so that's why I'm not going to Russia. So hopefully we get to Serbia soon because Serbia looks nice. Pat, Bix really understands that the derivative scam for silver. He explains it very well. Well, that's fine. But at least he understands that it's derivatives that drive the COMEX. What exactly does he say? There's not a lot to say in it. It's you can short it or you can either put it or call it. That's an option. And put it means you want the price to go down. You sell it first and buy it, and put it and call it means you bought it and then you're going to sell it higher. And the U.S. is doing put options for some reason because they don't know that gold price is in high demand going up. It's like a bunch of morons doing it. But yeah, I mean, I watch most of these guys, and I don't agree with a lot of what they said, so I don't waste my time with them. Doug Casey or Bill Holter, the only ones I found that are good, as you can see, is Egon and Mark McGuire. And Alligator I used to like, but I don't like him anymore. So there's very few. I'll start watching it. But I find that they, like this guy, he didn't understand what inflation was. See, because I understand everything, as soon as they start getting off track and saying inflation is 2% or the CPI index, and if they the supply chain, I turn it off because that's wrong. Price isn't inflation; it's printing the money. So when I hear that shit, or why are we watching the CPI? Who gives a fuck? It's not accurate. Number one. Number two, it's not a measure of inflation. So I don't care about it. So that's why I get turned off by those guys, because they start talking that shit, and they're wrong. And like, why am I wasting my time with them? Oh God, I can't watch Jim Willie. I saw him a couple of days ago or last week, and I watched about 5 minutes of him, and I turned it off. Like Trump too, as you know, modern day Cyrus David Joseph. I don't know what that means. Cyrus David Joseph. He also knows the players and who is leasing silver into whom. Well, we know it's China, and we know the players are India and Saudi Arabia buying it for the solar panels. But yeah, I mean, it's okay if that helps you. Well, I hope I'm nice. Or you wouldn't be watching. You'd be striking me down, going, "No, I can't watch the professor." But notice what I do. I do a live show because I want the interaction. I want to teach you. I want you to ask questions and comments, and I teach you, and you can comment on them. They don't. They don't do live shows, which is amazing. Now, I don't know if it's because they take the advertising dollars and you can't do a live show with it or not. I'm not sure about that. But in my mind, I want to teach you, and I don't think they really do. That's another thing I have an issue with. I don't think any of them realize that the dollar's going out, except for Egon, and the inflation is the value of the dollar going down. That's the step one, and then gold going to brics, and that's where Mark McGuire comes in, explaining brics, October 22nd. So I use him to get that information because I don't know where to get it, and I'm certainly not going to listen to Peter Schiff or Rickards or any of those morons. So I have a hard time listening to Peter. Peter Schiff is like Andy Scheckman. They talk, they don't say anything. Right? They just ramble on. It's 3:00 now. Today's Friday. It's 3:00 and today's Friday. They don't say they don't educate you at all. Andy Scheckman, well, yeah, then this is that. And he doesn't understand inflation. Yeah, it's hard to listen to them. King Professor, thank you very much, Pat. Yeah, I mean, I understand you want to learn, and that's why I try to teach you as much about it as I can. But I'm actually here to teach, and these guys really don't know, right? And that's where I kind of hesitate. If you do listen to them, please be careful. Or if there's something they say that you agree with that I don't cover, then tell me, and I'll cover it the correct way. Like, Thomas Sowell talk price controls. I cleaned it up. I said, this is why. Because there's the demand goes up because it's underpriced, and the supply goes down because people can't make money on it. That's what price control is. That's why it's bad. It's not free market. Just like gold and silver is not free market, and that's really what we're trying to get to. So just so you understand, just be careful listening to these other guys. I don't think any of them are economists. I think most of them are salesmen that used to be like Egon's a banker, and Mark McGuire worked at a bank, and he was a stockbroker. I think most of them were stockbrokers, which are just salesmen. Like Lynette Zing, she was a stockbroker. She doesn't know anything. And then you get to maybe they started doing, I learned from Andy Scheckman. He learned from Rick Reichert or whatever. But he didn't get educated. He's listening to some guy who doesn't know what he's talking about. This is the danger of being careful of listening, getting ideas from them that are false. That's what I'm bitching about now is be careful. I've listened to a lot of them, and I don't listen to them now because they really don't get it. Has anybody said $10,000 gold or $2,000 silver? Probably not. Egon doesn't want to make a prediction. He doesn't understand it, but they don't get that you've printed the dollars to zero, and gold and silver are going up based on free market demand because COMEX is going to blow up because of the brics going to gold and silver. See, this is what are they telling you that? And I doubt they put two and two together on brics, gold-backed currency, except for Mark McGuire. He gets it. And he tells us October 22nd, and he keeps hammering that point because he knows I keep leaving comments. Well, what happened? Are you sure it's October 22nd? You would have guessed who came on, said it might not happen, and you didn't say it's going to happen October 22nd. Like, why the fuck not? So, but these are mostly salesmen. They're mostly stockbrokers or bankers. They are not economists. They don't understand, Adam Smith, laissez-faire economics, invisible hand, Say's law. They don't understand that because that's not what a stockbroker learns. I think that's my point to you guys. Just be careful. They're not economists. So it's like listening to a stockbroker. Good luck with that. That's why I don't want to listen. Andy is rambling like a robot, the same thing all the time. He is just generating sales. Well, he does tell us about brics. That's the only reason I watch it. But yeah, he does rumble on in his ring fence, this, that, and the other, but he doesn't explain what a ring fence is. I think I finally figured it out after a year and a half, but I'm only watching for the brick stuff and any changes that are happening. But most of it, yeah. Chris Marcus is also very nice. Never heard of him. He wrote the book, The Great Silver Short. I don't know what that means, but basically silver's been price fixed. So call it what you want. Silver's price fixed. And until COMEX gets blown up and the demand by Saudi Arabia and India come into play for their solar panels, that's why silver's down. So I don't know I wouldn't waste my time reading that type of book because I already know the answers. At some point and without warning, all the dealers will be wiped out in one day. Exactly. Not the dealers. All the people with money in the bank are going to get wiped out, including Luke's friend. He's going to get wiped. He's going to have $4 million. It's going to go to zero. So will Warren Buffett. So will that Zucker clown. And so will Bill Gates. And I can't be happier. Although Bill Gates, I don't know if he has silver or not. He might have paper silver. I'm not sure. But I mean, it's gone. I mean, it's worthless now. I mean, that's the tragedy is people don't understand the dollar's worthless. Do you hear your guys saying the dollar's worthless? My guess is most of the guys you mentioned, including Bill Halter, don't say the dollar's going out and certainly don't understand why gold and silver are going up. They don't understand what inflation is. They probably think it's cost. That's why I lose them as soon as they start talking cost or the whatchamacallit, the supply chain. They don't know what they're talking about. Again, it's not cost that is the inflation. It's printing the money. It's very simple, and that's why I struggle with those guys. So if I did Chris Marcus, I probably wouldn't last 5 minutes with him. Because he probably doesn't know what inflation is. I mean, that's the key is understanding the dollar's going to zero. And the only one I know that understands that is Egon. When his friend's on there, that other guy, the goofy guy, the polo player, I turn him. He has no clue. Talk about a guy. He's worse than Peter Schiff. He just rumbles on and doesn't say a word. A lot of them do that because they're salesmen, and they figure they're just going to talk. And I hate that. I can't listen to it. What I meant is dealer inventory for metals. My guess is on a Sunday, suddenly all the bullion dealers switch off their websites. Now, do you mean like SD bullion, the people selling the stocks? Is that what you mean? I'll know when I go into my store and he doesn't have anything. Then I'll tell you. That's why I go to the store. I really am going to see, does he have inventory and what's his price? And at this point, his price is still COMEX and he has inventory. And I just, like I said, I walk out singing and dancing. I'm just very happy with that. Anyway, so football tonight, and let's see where our gold's at. $25.19. We had a little drop, but that's fine. I love how we're up 11.33 today, even though it was 25.25 yesterday. So it's all meaningless, but about to go. Silver, we know, 23.39, 29.39. So you're saying SD bullion, they won't have gold and silver to sell? All right, they realize it's too cheap. I mean, I went into my guy and I told him point blank, if I were you, I'd be putting all that silver and gold you're buying in the safe. I wouldn't sell any of it. He says, well, I need to pay the bills. You got a jewelry store. So don't you sell the jewelry? Apparently not. He says, mostly my sale is gold and silver. Well, you're lucky we're in a bad time and people need gold and silver. You'd be really fucked. So I don't know if he'll know, but he probably will. I keep telling him it's going up to $20,000 an ounce. And I don't know if he believes me or not, but I'm like, well, that's where it's going. See, that's where I kind of look at these guys that they don't, oh my God, silver might go to $50. I mean, they have no clue. That's why I'm like, I'm not going to waste my time listening when I know what's going on. But anyway, notice they don't do live where you can ask questions. And I turn off my comments because I don't want to hear a nice show or you're right or this. I don't need the pat on the back. And if somebody gives me a negative like, oh, I'm into Bitcoin, I don't want to hear it. Bring it here, but I don't want to hear any other stories. That's just ridiculous. So it's just a waste of time to read all that. But anyway, the waiting times will be insane for the latecomers. Imagine the premiums. I don't know if the premiums will go up, the price will go up. But this is the question we have with Luke's friend. Luke thinks, well, he'll buy it at 15,000. And the question is, will he be able to? I don't know. There'll be big lines because there's not a lot, and it's going to be 5,000 an ounce. Are all these people going to have 5,000 an ounce to buy 10 ounces, 20 ounces? I don't know. We'll see. But good luck with that. So I want to buy another 1/10 of an ounce, another 1/4 ounce. I want to buy this maybe tomorrow or Saturday. Let me check my email. Did I get more football buyers? No. I never heard of these companies. They're hiring for senior financial analysts. Discord, Verisma. I never heard of these companies. I don't know what they are. Government companies, small companies. Don't even trust them. I don't think they're real. The lines are for silver. I don't know. Do they think silver is going to go up? Once it hits 50, they won't think it's going to go any higher. Once it hits 100, they won't think it's going to go any higher. Maybe. They've got to understand the dollar's worthless. And at what point are they going to understand that? How are we going to make the people understand the dollar? Because the way the news puts it, the inflation's 2%. You got some idiot thinking, well, if it's under the real rate, then yeah, people will buy dollars. Even though that won't move the price. A fucking idiot. Oh, that guy was just, this is the problem I have with half these guys. They don't get that it's paper price, that it's derivatives, that we could all buy. I think I heard that on Egon's show. Or no, on Alligators. And he had like his owner on or something and said, well, if we all buy an ounce of gold, the price will go up. And I turned it off. I'm like, oh my God. It's comex price controlled. It doesn't matter if we all bought 1,000 ounces, it's not moving. If we all bought 1,000 tons, it's not moving the price. How do people miss the most basic thing like that? I mean, why do I want to listen to that crap? Everyone will understand when you end up in the cold water without a lifeboat, but they won't really get it. They won't get that they won't get that the dollar is gone. Until it's too late, and then they won't be able to buy the silver, right? So Nazi Germany, well, in 1923 Germany, they hyperinflated. And then what are you going to try to buy gold and silver at that point? Nobody wants your money. So by the time they're in the water, as you're saying, they won't be able to buy the gold and silver because the money will be worthless. At the time they're in the water, the money's worthless. You have to buy the gold and silver now because what's coming, it's like, well, it's like Noah's Ark for Luke. I mean, you got to get into the ark now. You can't wait till it starts raining to then run to the ark and you get in it. You've got to prepare and be a few steps ahead of the game. You can't wait for the Titanic to sink before thinking of getting out, right? As soon as the iceberg hits, you got to get off the boat. You can't sit there and watch the water come in and watch the boat sink and then realize I got to get off, right? As soon as that iceberg hits, you get on the lifeboat. The icebergs hit the dollar. You've got to get out of the dollar now. I don't think you can do it once BRICS announces in October that you can just sit there and go, oh, I need gold's 10,000 an ounce. Well, I can't afford that. Silver, yeah, silver is maybe 50 an ounce by then. Yeah, I got to go buy silver. Oh, what do you mean you don't have any? I mean that it's going to run out because of demand, and there's not enough supply. I mean, I go to a jewelry store that sells gold and silver. I mean, how long is he going to have it for? Believe me, everybody will jump into SD bullion. Then it'll be eBay. So you'll see eBay's, but that's a lot of Liberty coin and SD bullion selling on eBay also. So that you'll have a few clues, but you better not wait. Well, it really won't go up, will it? I think you're just fucking around. It won't. The price won't go up. Yeah, it wouldn't go to 2,500 either. It's 2,519. Yeah, it's not going to go there. I mean, that's just absurd. And so we know it's going up, and we know it. You know, we've got the brics, we've got the comex, so it's just green light from here on. It's just a matter of time. And Goldilocks, it's the stupidest analysis. Well, if real rates go ahead of inflation rate, this guy actually thinks inflation is 2%, and you want to listen to this moron? And that's what I get with a lot of these guys. They just don't get it. Yep, all paper pricers. Comex and U.S. Treasury notes are culprit. Oh, it's Comex, really. Comex is keeping the price down. It should be like Rolex. Rolex is $60,000. So you're going to run out and buy a Rolex when the dollar goes out? No, it's too expensive. Well, you can buy a $20,000 Rolex, but it's the same. See, that's not price fixed, and that's where gold should be. All right, silver probably should be about 5,000. That's where they should be, and that's where they're headed to. But it's all because of the dollar being printed. So it's all the Treasury causing the inflation, not Putin. But Comex is just price fixing it for us. Actually, they're doing us a favor by keeping the price down so we can run out and buy more at the sale of the century, $30 for silver. I mean, it's like a penny. I mean, it's like they're giving away the silver. And that's what it's backfiring because what are the idiot dealers are selling it for 30? And you're like, do you really think it's only worth 30? They don't they're just salesmen. This is the thing. And then you'll see these guys on YouTube and you guys will watch them. And it's like, don't watch these morons. So I always joke at my guy going, thanks for selling me the gold at paper gold prices. I really appreciate it. He just kind of laughs. He understands because I taught him, but why do I have to teach these people? They don't know. The guy at the restaurant, I had to teach him. He says, well, what if the U.S. doesn't pay their debt? They're gone. They're fucked because they need people to buy their T-bills. And if nobody will buy the T-bills, they're fucked. So if they default, They're defaulting on themselves and all these countries, and the credit will be worthless. They won't be able to sell another dollar. So why would they default on it? He's listening to one of these guys you're listening to. Oh, they'll just default. They just won't pay. And they'll just go on like nothing happened because we're the United States. Yeah, okay. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Yes, these dealers have zero clue what the value is of silver. It's incredibly valuable. Well, that's the point. That's why we run in and just kind of laugh and sing and dance, because we know it's at least, to me, it's at least 2,000. Now it's going to get to 2,000, but it's 2,000 an ounce because I'm assuming gold will be 20,000 an ounce. And I'm assuming it gets 10 to 1. The fact is 80 to 1 bullshit. It's just bullshit. Now it's probably 90 to 1 because gold's 25.20 and silver's still sitting at 29. So it has nothing to do with anything. The ratio is just pure bullshit. Very limited gold. There's very limited silver. And believe me, there's not a lot of silver left because it wears out and because people have tons of it, like you, Luke, and it wears out in being used, so you can't reuse it. So I'm sure they've taken tons and tons and have used it, and it's gone now. And then everybody with a ton of it, like Mark McGuire's friend, and everybody seems to have a lot of silver because it's so cheap. So you just buy it and buy it and buy it. There's probably not much left. And once the demand goes and there's no supply, the only way to satisfy demand is with higher prices. Yeah, $1,000 an ounce, I could sell 10 ounces of silver. No problem. But not at 30. I ain't selling an ounce. I mean, I'm giving it away to the girl, Jenna, here's 10 ounces of silver. It's $30. She looks at it like, who gives a fuck? Soon it'll be $1,000, and then you're going to give a fuck. Pat, an elite legionnaire of the Roman army had an average salary of 3 ounces of silver per month. Well, that's pretty good pay. And there was no comex to fuck it up. Well, that's why the Roman army ended up going out, was because it went out because they debased their currency. So they took the gold and the silver out of their coins. So I'm giving you coins that are, you might as well, here's a rock. I mean, you might as well give me that. That's the problem. So because they didn't have any gold, guess who had the gold? The Turks came in and defeated Rome because the Roman army said, fuck it, we're not getting paid later. I'm not getting killed in a war for nothing. So there was no incentive for them to fight, and they had all the gold, the Ottomans or the Turks, and say goodbye to Rome. Well, Rome was in Turkey. That was their empire. So then that was it, right? And that you don't have the gold, then you don't have the army, and that's it. So yeah, you're right. Somehow they worked without comex, and they worked without their prices were in silver and gold, I'd imagine, on the Appian Way, unlike in Vegas. So that's what's cool about Caesar's Palace. It's all ancient Rome, and except for there's no gold and silver coins. But yeah, I mean, well, that was a lot, I'm sure. 3 ounces of silver. Believe me, silver is very valuable. You'll be fine going out to nice restaurants with an ounce of silver. Like I say, I go to my barbecue place. I could pay him an ounce of silver, but why do I want to sell it at $30 an ounce when it's going to be worth, $1,000, $2,000, right? Why would I sell it for 30? That's the trouble I have with the girls. Jenna, they know I have gold. I've shown them, and silver, and they go, well, you got money. And I go, it's tied up, and I don't want to sell it at these cheap prices. So we have it, but just let's get to October. Let's get to the end of the year and see what happens. Let's just be patient. And that's what we're waiting for. Let's see. Pat. So today's Navy SEAL should earn $90 in silver per month. I guess. I don't know. What was 3 ounces of silver in Roman times? Was it? It can't be $3. There was no dollar. So $90. I don't know about $90, but we all. That's what I tell Bobby. You should get paid in gold, not in dollars. They won't change it. I'm like, well, tell them you got to change it. What's the difference? $1 million is $1 million. But he's getting fucked when he gets paid his $1 million or whatever per year. I mean, now he's getting like, what, 100,000, which is worthless. So, yeah, this is why you got to know what you're doing and not listen to his financial guy who had that brilliant idea. Yeah, and in 20 years, the million will be worth like $100,000, Bobby. How does that sound? Like I said, I had worked at Hiram Walker Canadian Club, and they sold the company, and I was there 3 years, so I was getting like $300 a month for my retirement, and I got to 59, and they said, okay, you can start collecting your retirement. You can either get $300 a month, or we'll pay you out at $25,000 flat rate. It took me about 5 seconds to go, I'll take the $25,000 because I can go buy gold with the $25,000. What's $300 a month? I knew with inflation, $300 a month in a few years isn't going to buy me anything. I mean, it won't. It'd buy me groceries maybe. But $25,000 in gold, the price goes up. So you want to get out of dollars and into gold. That's the reason. And right there was perfect example. What time is it now in Singapore, Pat? It's 8 a.m. They're 12 hours behind my time. So I think you're Luke. I think you're what? You're Pittsburgh. So yeah, it's 12 hours ahead of us. So he's 8 a.m. Friday morning. So he gets up early for our class. Anyway, I hope your mom's feeling better, Pat. His mom's got cancer. I hope she'll be okay. Luke, what happened to Paul Skeens yesterday? Did he get hurt? Why did the manager pull him? And how the fuck does Paul Skeens get into a 14-10 game? I bet Pittsburgh because of Skeens yesterday. I go, well, they're playing the Cubs. I go, well, I'll probably shut them out. And I see they're down 2-0, and then it's 6-2, and then it's 10-6 Pirates. And then I look at the end, they lost 14-10. Well, who's managing that team? Larry Moe and Curley. Why did they take Skeens out after the 5th inning? And that was my conversation in my sports one was, is Skeens versus the bullpen, wouldn't you want Skeens to stay in there? Isn't he a better option than your 4.0 ERA guy who's in the bullpen who gave up fucking 10 runs? I mean, they gave up 14 runs. I think he gave up 7 or 8 runs to the bullpen. Wouldn't it be better to pitch Skeens like 8 innings? He only pitched 5. I'm still alive. Yes, mom as well. Very good. Happy to hear that, Pat. All right, Luke, we can tell me about Skeens later. Anyway, so football started tonight, probably already started. I didn't play either game today. I played one game tomorrow and then a lot on Saturday. No, I don't give free picks anymore. But I teach the class for $25, which I walk through the games and then give you my picks like I do for baseball. And that's it. So you can buy the class for $25, you get all the picks. Or I did have some buyers picking for my picks yesterday. So it was nice to get some football money in. I think people wait because they know week 1's tough. And so they're just waiting for week 2 when we really get a good idea of the teams. Anyway, I think that's it. So we're looking at tomorrow. We're looking at, again, Monday, Labor Day. They won't be there. I think they'll probably leave early tomorrow, the U.S., because they'll want the long weekend. But again, people here are using their credit cards and making loan. A lot of people in debt here that they'll never be able to pay off. So just be careful there. And I know they're not getting raises, they're getting laid off, and people need to go to the grocery store and they use their credit cards, and they're not going to be able to pay it back. So there's going to be a lot of shit going on here with all the debt. It's going to be a nightmare. So just be careful. But if you have gold and silver, you've protected yourself. I watched that in Lifetime. David Bender needs to go. Well, how do you have the best pitcher in the National League and you pull him after 5 innings? I thought maybe he got injured, but what is the rationale? He pitches every 5th day. He only pitched 85 pitches, so there was no reason to pull him if he wasn't injured. What the fuck you doing? I got the Seattle manager fired. He did the same thing. His guy had a one-hitter going against the Tigers, and they get into the 8th inning, and he pulls the pitcher. Next thing you know, the Tigers tie the game, win it in overtime 2 days in a row. And the pitcher, I think, was fixed because he threw the ball right down the middle of the plate to Javi Baez, who can't hit 175, and he hits this 2-run homer, and you're like, the pitch was right down the middle. The guy can't hit a breaking ball. Something smells here big time. So either the pitcher or the manager bet on Detroit. So that's how you tell a fixed game. So I think the Seattle manager bet on Detroit in both those games because the way he managed was like an idiot. Chapman would be way better to leave in. Good night, morning, Pat. Enjoy your days. You leaving, Pat? Okay. I'm going to leave too. Yeah, enjoy your Friday, Pat. Go get some sleep. Well, it's just, why would you take out Scanes? I mean, he's the best pitcher in the league. Why would you take him out at all? Now, I know he gave up, I think, 4 or 5 runs in the 5 innings. He had a bad outing, but I wouldn't have pulled him. I would have let him go 6, 7, and possibly 8. See, the way I'd manage, I would not do pitch count. If I was hired and the GM says, you got to do pitch count, I'd tell him to go fuck himself. Then I'm not your manager. I don't believe in it, and I'm not going to do things I don't believe in, just like gold and silver. I remember my last job. I told them to buy gold, and they didn't like hearing it. Okay, go fuck yourself. I don't care. I tell people, and they don't listen. And now when the shit hits the fan, they're going to go, yeah, Howard told us. I guess he was right. Anyway, take care, Pat. You're welcome, Pat. We'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday, so that's fine. Saturday will be an early day. Because of football, I'm on early Saturday and Sunday, and I'll just jump from one class to another. Especially Sunday. The pool closes at 4:30, so I'll do a couple of them. And then Saturday, the football games start at noon, so I do football at about 10, and then I'll probably do this at 11, 11:30, watching the football. September will be wild, and it's your mouth, Professor and Luke. Yeah, September and October will be. October will be. I mean, we're not going to believe we'll believe the price, but nobody else will. We'll see a $5,000 gold in October, and everybody will be freaking out. We're going, when's it going to go to 10? And everybody won't, And then silver, I would say by September, silver jumps to 50. And then we'll see higher because they need it for the solar panels. But keep in mind that this is not worth anything, so get rid of it as soon as you can. Even if that means having to sell a gold ounce back or a gold quarter ounce back to get dollars to pay bills, you're still better off. You've got to assume the ship's sinking, so you plan accordingly. You don't sit there with the ship sinking and go, well, I'll wait till it sinks and then I'll try to sell my dollar. Then I'll try to buy gold and silver after the ship sink. No. You buy it now and just like we're doing, and we just wait for the price to go and simple. All right, everybody. I'm going to have a late dinner. Jesus, 15. I got to make chicken yet, and I don't want to make chicken yet. I'm too tired. I got the chicken breasts, so I got to cut them up and put them in the oven. I had a salad already, and I had an omelet already, so I don't have any. I got nothing left. Another pita, a slice of pita. All right, I will see you guys tomorrow. Again, we should see gold do its number tomorrow, and Monday it should go through the roof. I'll probably do a little show Monday. I know it's Labor Day. I don't really have plans. This is where I miss the girls being in Europe because I'd like to spend the day with them. So I get a little frustrated on the holidays. But anyway, watch our football. We got Saturday, Sundays, LSU, USC, and games tomorrow night. Nothing really, two lousy games today. All right. Have a good night. www.teaserking.com to sign up for football if you're interested. Did Nolan Ryan have a pitch count? No, he didn't. He had one game he pitched against somebody else, and he pitched 200 pitches in the game. It was like a 10-inning. It was like a 10-inning game. He pitched 200 innings. In the 68 World Series, Mickey Lolich pitched 3 games, and he was on like 1-day rest, 2-day rest. Gibson pitched. The other guy pitched the next game, and then Gibson pitched game 7. He did it 2 or 3 times. Funny how they survived. So anyway, no, he did not have a pitch count. He went 200, but he didn't throw the curveball. Well, he did have a good curveball, but I guess it wasn't hurting his elbow. So these managers have to come up with, we better not worry about the spin rates because we're breaking everybody's arms. They're all getting injured. It's probably not the smartest thing to do. And that's where the managers are so fucking stupid. Oh, it's 100 pitches. The poor baby might get hurt. He's getting how many millions of dollars? You're babying him every 5th day anyway, and you're telling me he can only pitch 100 pitches. Wow. You guys are all on drugs. All right, everybody. Have a good night, and I will talk to you soon. Luke will figure out a time and go from there. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a nice night.